As a child, you would wait and watch from far away, but you always knew that you'd be the one to work while they all played. And you'd lay awake at night and scheme of all the things that you would change, but it was just a dream. Will come when you have to rise above the rest and prove yourself. Your spirit never dies. Farewell, I've gone to take my throne above, but don't weep for me, 'cause this will be the labor of my love. Here we are, turn away.
Across three $15,000 jackpots. Do you have any idea what the odds are?
Shoot, it's got to be in the millions, maybe more.
3 fucking jackpots in 20 minutes? Why didn't you pull the machines? Why didn't you call me?
Well, it happened so quick. 3 guys won. I didn't have a chance to call
you.
you.
See the scam? You didn't see what was going on?
Well, there's no way to determine that.
Yes, there is. An infallible way. They won.
What's a casino? People got to win sometimes.
Hey, what? You're pissing me off. Now you're insulting my intelligence. What do you think? I'm a fucking idiot? You know goddamn well somebody had to get into those machines and set those fucking reels. The probability on one 4-reel machine is 1.5 million to 1. On 3 machines in a row, it's in the billions. It cannot happen. Would not happen. You fucking Momo, what's the matter with you? Didn't you see you being set up on the second win?
I really think
you didn't see that you were being set up on the second win?
I really think you're overreacting.
Listen, you fucking yokel. I had it with you. I've been carrying your ass in this place ever since I got here. Get your ass and get your things and get out of here.
You're firing me?
I'm firing you. No, I'm not firing. I'm firing you.
You might regret this, Mr. Rothstein.
I'll regret it even more if I keep you on.
This is not the way to treat people.
Listen, if you didn't know you're being scammed, you're too fucking dumb to keep this job. If you did know you were in on it, either way, you're out. Get out. Go on. Let's go. The guy's hissed.
I hate that it cuts that off right. The guy's his. My thoughts on 9 Mile Hole. What's going on, everybody? So get it out of the way. Ashley will decide to go on, and she was going to do like an Ashley Power Hour today, but she'll go on and talk about other stuff. She wants to put it to bed, give her side of things, just a little rundown of what happened, and that's it, and nothing else. So doesn't want to. That's not what today's about. So let's just move on. Oak Island. We were going to do the show last night, but then I was fucking tired. So we're going to do that tomorrow, I think. And, well, it was good. It was, I was nerve-wracked the whole fucking episode, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's what we'll be doing. Today, the huge. And is today's episode sponsored by Truly? No. If I had gone yesterday, it would have been sponsored by Advil. Yeah, and these secret societies are melting your brain. I'm not getting into secret societies today. Can't do it. Can't do it. I'll tell you what I'll get into, though. The logistics of 9 Mile Hole and how it just doesn't work. I'll get into that. Gonna get some tunes up in here. That last sig is lasting a long time. I fucking smoke those things down. Treasure Warriors, did you get an email from Shiloh? No, he's not emailing me back. That's not happening. That's out. Been long enough. Sent him an email, sent him one text, and that's it. So, but I guess let me reiterate on that one as well. I am not burning the flies. That was hyperbole. I'm not gonna burn them. I'll fucking use them and lose them, but I'm not gonna burn them. Nine-Mile Hole is a headache. Yes, it is. And if it turns out to be correct, fine. I'll deal with that headache. I just don't think it is. I remember Jack Stoof's words. And Jack Stoof's words were, Forrest was willing to go and did go to great lengths to prevent that location from being known. And his identity, but the location. So, to me, that includes a fake solve. Does it not? And if you think it doesn't include a fake solve, when he says, when Jack, the finder, says Forrest is willing to go to great lengths, that's emphasis for a reason. Today's show topic, 9 Mile Denial. I like it. It's not just a river in Egypt, ain't it? That B is an anomaly. It means something. Yeah, I've gotten some emails of some people guessing what it means, or in their opinion, telling me what it means. But thank you, Pavetta. He was willing to go to great lengths, very great lengths, to avoid ever having to tell the location. So if you're gonna tell me that he just willy-nilly told it, when Jack, after the find, is saying he's willing to go to great lengths, my friends, you're being fooled. Those of you who are going to buy into this 9 Mile story, I know. I was on this channel saying 9 Mile because I was down the rabbit hole. Once I obtained the information I needed to obtain, I realized, oh boy, it ain't 9 Mile. I don't care who says it, including Fenn himself, because I know that man's willing to go to very great lengths. Are we going to talk about episode 9? What episode? What are you talking about? I'm not even going to remind Ben he quit smoking everything. Another break from quitting, my man. We'll get these one of these days. We'll get it. It takes a 10-mile dick to satisfy a 9-mile hole. That's good. I like that. Well done. Well done. Well done. You don't even get to smoke weed every day. You just get a bong rip for that one. I'm starting to think it was never out there at all. At all. I wondered as well. Maybe a proxy item. I believe the chase was real. I had faith in a Maverick. But everything else, I don't know. I don't know. The 9-mile hole is a great solve once you've adjusted to it. Yeah, again, nah. The fire hole is a great solve once you have adjusted to it. Hebgen Lake, Quake Lake is a great solve once you have adjusted to it. Lots of great solves are great solves once you've adjusted. And I understand Fenn said the person who finds this is perhaps the one who best adjusts. I understand. But he also said I'd go confidently. He'd also say it would take me to a precise location. And there's nothing precise about walking 3 feet to the left or 3 feet to the right of Fenn Rock across that river. There's nothing precise about going up to 7 Mile Bridge and walking 2 miles the other. There's nothing precise. Even with Fenn saying the one who best adjusts, that doesn't mean best adjust anything, but just adjust their thinking. And I understand that. But again, even if I adjust my thinking to Fenn, it's not 9 Mile. And again, willing to go to very great lengths to make sure that he never told that location. That went out the window? Forrest poem leads you to a precise 12 by 12 inch spot. No, it doesn't. Unless you have the solve, Rudy. Do you have the solve? We've had this discussion. Treasure Warriors, now Shiloh has not come back to you. Tell us what you were going to say about him. I don't know what you're implying there. About Shiloh? I'll say it loud as clear. I think if Shiloh is pushing the 9 Mile solve, he either doesn't know the solve, or he's been told this and told the solve and it's incorrect, or he's part and he knows this, or he knows what's going on and is pushing 9 Mile because that's the fake solve they're going to push. I don't know what's going on beyond that with Shiloh. Why are you saying bye, Street? What does Street say? My Stargate just opened. See you all on the other side. Okay. Ben, once you found the chest, how can it not have been precise? You're at an exact location. I agree with you. It was Jack Stoof who said 25 days of grid searching. He walked over the chest twice, finally stumbling upon it and finding it before the blaze. Did Jack not have a solve? Is that what we're saying? Does the solve take you to a 12 by 12 inch spot, but Jack didn't have a solve and he just found the chest? Is that what we're saying? What's BS? Master the art of being indifferent, and you'll have a better chance of solving the poem. I mean, I wouldn't say even indifferent. Master the art of, even as you're going along with a solve in your own head, master the art of knowing the difference in reasoning that got you there. How soon have we forgotten about the damaged blaze? We haven't forgotten about it. But if the poem takes me to a 12 by 12 inch spot, then I'm assuming that blaze also brought me there too. And even if that blaze is damaged, fine. But shouldn't that blaze be over a 12 by 12 inch spot then? Hypothetically speaking. So the poem still takes me to the 12 by 12 inch spot just because I can't see the blaze anymore, fine. But you're telling me the poem should bring me right to the damaged blaze then, should it not? Right to it, right to the damaged blaze. I should see a damaged blaze immediately because he brought me right to it, correct? It's more like, oops, we can't tell that part of the story, so we're just not going to tell any of it. It's very convenient. It's damaged and missing, and okay. Very convenient. Damaged blaze is like a jumbo shrimp. The poem leads to a 10 by 10 inch spot, not a 12 by 12 inch spot, says Colo Kid. Well, I think Indy Above said something to the effect of, well, we only heard that quote from Cynthia. I don't know. Maybe she did. Maybe she did. I don't know. Shiloh's gift to WSOF was a clear message that F lies, flies. Ooh, that's juicy. That's like a TV show solve. You see something in the background, like there's a character and like lights get shot out from above them, and the shot out lights now spell lies. That actually happened on a TV show, Mr. Robot. So very cool. I love that. F lies, flies. Duh, they're not lures. They're flies. Only Forrest knew the slide trick. People were beginning to notice me. It's all in the poem. Like Peggy was beginning to notice him. I gave 24 hours or I was going to tell all the truth. Did I say that? I forgot that. Here's why I think no one's telling all the truth and why I'm starting to question what I should be saying at this point. I'm of the firm belief that there's a fake solve. And I'm of the firm belief that there's a fake solve because I think there's a second chase of some sort, whether it's for second place, the emerald ring, you name it, whatever. So, huh? I'm not full of BS. Well, kind of, a little bit full of BS, yeah. Poem tells you to find the exact blaze. The hint in TTOC tells you exactly how. The blaze marked a precise spot. Okay, Rudy, so say what it is. Say what it is. I'm leaving this up until you say what it is because you seem so confident in this. Please tell me that what the hint in TTOC is that tells me exactly how. Please tell me the blaze marked a precise spot. How? Please. We still haven't seen the chest since Forrest was in the photo still alive. For all we know, he took the bracelet and put it right back out there. Fuck, right? That's a good point. That's an excellent point, Silver Fox. I mean, how do we know? Jack told us it's in a safe place or in a vault. Is a nook a vault? Did he just put it down? He said it hasn't left New Mexico, right? Well, what if it was solved in New Mexico this whole time? So Forrest put it right back in the same hidey spot in New Mexico. And that's what Jack is referring to as the vault. I mean, guys, the possibility is fucking endless. I'm not full of BS, Paul. Let me go back and rewatch what I said in context. And I will give you something that doesn't get me in trouble to the point where I'm going to get sued. How about that? All right? Because I think I know what I was referring to, but I probably had second thoughts about getting sued. So, hey, man, I don't know how many people will own up and say, yeah, maybe I was full of shit, but here I am. Shiloh says the bracelet is being worked on. Yeah, right. I know. Cynthia apparently tried to see this bracelet twice with Forrest after the find was denied, then was asking to see it from Shiloh, and then again denied. A different excuse every time. Add Jack has never sold the treasure to your theory of a second chase. Nine Fingers says those pics are photoshopped, not one legit video or pic. I don't know. I donated $100 to O's Photoshop fund a couple years back at this point, or a year back, and it was inconclusive. Treasure Warriors, I think you implied there was something with the lures you got. Maybe you were just referring to the business card from shop. Oh, no. If I was... okay, no. Then that's pure solve related. No, I'm holding that back. Sorry. I think there's a second chase now. I'm 100%. I was maybe 99% when I said that and still going, fuck it. There's no second chase or something. I'm like at 99.999999999 to the point where I've already made, I think, like 3 boots on the grounds trips in my calendar for this summer. So... that's where I'm at. Just being honest with it now. Steve Klein says, it amazes me how many people know the answers after Fenn passed, but couldn't figure it out when he was here. I don't know. There were plenty of people, I think, claiming that they had found this thing while he was still alive too, right? Go back to the Erskine solve, right? Rudy, I'm still waiting, man. I'm not even being... I'm being honest. Like, if you have that answer, do tell. Unless you think there's a second chase, too. And then that's why you don't want to tell. That I respect. I totally get it, and I'll stop. Same on you, Ben. You are not with the good folks in the chase. I don't know how you're implying that, man. What do you mean? Censorship sucks. Paul, I am the least censorship channel on this YouTube world that we all live in. The only thing I censor is when people start saying shit about other people. Like, you know, when you messaged me on Facebook that I was raped as a child. Do you remember doing that, Paul? You did that on Facebook, not on here, so I couldn't censor it, but you did that. I still don't censor you. Miriam, the hint in the blaze is in the Lewis and Clark chapter. I posted how the hints work on Reddit 8 months ago. Rudy, again, if you are posting how the hints work, that implies you have the solve. You've been given it. You have confirmation of a solve, correct? I know you're now addressing Miriam and not really answering me. And that's perfectly fine if that's how you want to do this. But it's not like I'm not going to comment on it. The implication here is that you have a correct solve in your knowledge. And that's the only reason. It's the same with Doug Preston. How do you know the poem's too easy and where the hints are if you don't already know the answer? So, Rudy, please elaborate. Ben, what are you talking about? Paul, you absolutely know what I'm talking about. I took pictures. Stop. We all know. What does that mean? Shit, did I say that? What was I? Well, you can't pluck comments out of comments. You got to tell me the whole thing. I don't know what we're talking about there. Now, you could be perfectly cool. Lewis and Clark, right? Like, Alan's loving that, please, because I think it points to Lamar is what he's saying, right? But I don't know. The blaze was a tree stump. Cool. So I assume you got it from the picture, where, Old Man Forrest or his dad, depending on who you think that is, with the axe and the tree stumps. Is that then? Are you telling me Home of Brown is not a shit streak in Hanes underwear, Hanes Mountain? Damn, I've been misled. Hey, man, I still fucking think that's a good solve. The implication of a joke in the poem is the only way to outsmart a bunch of smart, clever people, smarter than me, trying to do this. Yeah, that would make a ton of sense. I still don't know if that's it. I don't claim to think that's it. I claim to go, I think I'm right. Because I want to be right. Just like all of you. But you know what? The shit stain in Hanes underwear for Mount Hanes Overlook, where there's an actual put in, is no better and no worse than the 9 Mile Solve Home of Brown that is allegedly the solve. Mine at least has an actual put in I can walk right to, and then directly across I have a fallen tree to walk directly to in my line of sight. Home of Brown, I mean, what am I? I'm going to Fenn's Rock, which I guess is in the poem. Is that in the poem? And I'm going to then Home of Brown, which we've determined is the honey hole, even though nothing about this area tells me I could have walked across 50 feet over there. I could have walked 50 feet over there. There's not even thematic there. Okay, okay, boo. And thanks, Rudy, for semi-sharing. We'll reread the Lewis and Clark story. I find it very intriguing that we follow up on a simple question, because Rudy and I got along, right? Rudy? No, it's a humorous put in, Paul. Again, the whole thing is a joke. It's a fucking little tiny boardwalk thing. I get it, but it's an actual thing. Not related to the actual solve. It's there. You can jokingly call it a put in because it's a joke portion of the solve. It's the only part that's a joke, and that's the only way. Listen, you're talking to the guy who thinks it was a Back to the Future solve with Doc Brown, really? Okay. There's no banner here at the bottom of my screen or ever a video ever uploaded on our channel that says A, we had the solve, B, we know the solution, C, we had the treasure chest. No claims like that from this channel. Can't say that about others, though. Hey, Ben, Treasure Warriors, how do you reconcile there are many places where warm waters halt, and nearly all of them are north of Santa Fe? That does not mean a river junction. Nearly all the river junctions, if it's warm waters halt, are north of Santa Fe. Right? But then that's what gets everyone to go to hot springs then, right? But I bet you if that's the answer, I bet you he has some clever, twisty, wordy way in which he makes that comment make sense, dude. As much as I would hate it, I'm pretty sure he would come up with something. Yeah, well, there's not many river junctions where I fished at that aren't north of Santa Fe. How about that? Right? There's many where warm waters halt. And nearly all of them are north of Santa Fe. He's meaning all the river junctions that he's fished in, that he felt comfortable in, they're all north of Santa Fe. So there you go. I just reconciled it. He said a child could help. Is there a Pampers Mountain? Huggins, maybe? Hey, I just took his advice, Silver. He said, read the poem, or read the book, then read the poem, memorize the poem, and then reread the book with those words you memorized. Well, I would assume you'd want to memorize the word brown, and lo and behold, there's the word brown on a page. It's very rudimentary. I'm not saying it's correct, but to make fun of it while I get it and I'll take the ribbon, you got to be willing to make fun of on your solve, whatever your solve is out there, whoever you are. That's to everybody, right? Stop looking for clever or twisty. And I would agree with that. And that's why I tried to do the joke solve instead of taking it as like, okay, this is a treasure quest for someone finding a pirate treasure and you got that's its own little storyline, right? I'm trying to do that without, what is that? Well, it's not confirmation bias, but I'm in that family, and I'm expecting something clever or twisty, and therefore I start only looking for something clever or twisty. And if it can't be clever or twisty, therefore it can't be the solve. I'm well aware of that fallacy in logic, and I try to steer clear of it for sure. Which is why I'm never confident about any of my solves. And I'm surprised anybody is more than 20% confident on theirs without a treasure chest in hand to prove it. If you're more than 20% confident of your solve and you don't have a treasure chest, I find that grotesquely out of bounds. No, totally, dude. I get it. I used it to make a larger point. No, I totally get you were kidding. And I guess Rudy isn't going to respond, and that's fine. They're tough questions. I wouldn't respond to them either if I was hiding something. Why are you going to block Phantom, Indy? Please don't. I called you out. I don't care 2 dings about you. What's going on? That's fine. Just stop talking to them. Block them yourself, but don't block them from the channel. I don't see them saying anything in particular, aside from you two fighting with each other. I'm trying not to do this block shit, guys. Like, it's ridiculous. Don't interact in chat then if you don't like, if it's an issue, right? Warriors, look at the big smile. You don't understand the poem, Ben. Says you. Zara, this is an interesting esoteric point you're making. The treasure was supposedly found before we came to the conclusion, therefore impossible to have the treasure chest. I'm not so sure about that. I don't know about that if-then statement there. Who's threatening? If there's a threat, then block them. If there's a legit threat that was typed in chat, fucking block them. Go ahead. I didn't see one. So if there is one, please point it out to me in private, and that'll be your justification for blocking them. There you go. Boom, bing, bang, boom. I don't have to deal with it. I think Alan K won that Totem. Yeah, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he did. Rudy, I understand we're good, but what I'm not getting is, again, I'm saying you're saying things with a confidence level of that you have a solve to confirm that you know is precisely what you're talking about. What was a hint? What wasn't a hint? What information do you have that you're working with that we don't? That's fine if you have something confidential, say so. But you're avoiding that part of the question very clearly. I was 100% positive I was correct before the find. Listen, I know a lot of people were, and I think Fenn did that to you guys on purpose. When he stated, you'll walk with confidence, I think a lot of people took that to mean they got to be 100% before they left the chair. Confidence is one thing, 100%. A is Apollo. Welcome. Don't shoot me with your arrow. Weird liar. That's a liar, right? My theory is that the chest was in New Mexico, but certain people in the chase were close, so Forrest gave them misinformation to get them up to Wyoming and out of his backyard. I certainly wonder about all of it right now. That's for damn sure. And I think that puts all 4 states back on the map. 100%. You don't need to go boots on the ground to know you solved the poem. No, but you need a treasure chest in hands per Forrest Fenn. You will never know if you have solved Where Warm Waters Halt without the treasure chest. Those are Fenn's words, man. I'm going to listen to Fenn, not you. James says, Warriors and K-Pro interview, Fenn refused to say how confident someone should be before going boots on the ground. I always found that interesting. Yes, and that's a good question. How confident should you be? Well, Fenn refuses to answer that question. You know why? Because Fenn wants you to think you need to be 100% confident and give yourself into confirmation bias land. It's become very clear that I think part of the game of this poem was confirmation bias. It was designed in a way that it would wreak havocs on it. And then Fenn stoked the flames of that fire by saying that the finder will move with confidence. Now, when K-Pro follows up on confidence correctly, he refuses to answer that. Why? Because he knows the true answer is probably closer to what our alleged finder says, which is he was no more than 20% confidence for a boots on the ground. And the only way, according to him, that you could be more than 20% confident to go boots on the ground is to have access to Forrest Fenn's 2009 GPS data. Those are the words from our finder. That's very odd to me. Rudy, is that what he says? Is that what Forrest says in that audio when he talks about Terry Scant? I can't remember. I'm legit asking. Because Condor 2 also posted about the meaning of Terry Scant. So is this what he said? Hooli, you're seeing what I see here, as of course, as are many. The human mind does crazy things with details. Keep it simple. He banked on us complicating it. I agree wholeheartedly. That was the trick of the poem, if you want to find a trick. Your own human brain was the trick of the poem. And it seems like something so easy to circumvent. Telling yourself not to have confirmation bias, it seems like an impossible task. Thus, why do it? I think the point is to fight confirmation bias. You're never going to win against it, but if you fight against it, it can illuminate things that you never saw. I do believe that. Diller says you absolutely need geological boots to put the poem in order. Without eyes on the landmarkers as clues, you would walk right past the treasure. Listen, Forrest said the little girl from India can't get past the first 2 clues. There's lots of ways to interpret that, but one way is certainly you sure as shit ain't solving the whole thing from home. I'm thinking of putting the phone number up, but I really don't want to talk solves with anybody. I've had to do a lot of my own research, a lot quieter, lately, and given all the things that have happened, it's just my interest has waned more and more from solves to just finding out why 9 Miles fake, the reasoning behind it, if it is truly, and then what that entails, and then from there, you know, get back in the game. But that's why I don't know if I want to open up the phone lines for that, because of course that's inevitably what's going to happen, right? I don't know if I'm feeling that right now. What I would want to talk about with people, if we want to do calls, and maybe I'll just hang up. I'll be rude. See, I don't want to be rude to anybody though. Like even if you do end up calling and talking about a solve, I end up listening because I understand the want to talk about it. I do, and that's what we're kind of here for. I get it. But I'm really not in the fucking mood for it. All I'm in the mood for today is talking about, is 9 Mile Hole right or wrong? Why is it right or wrong? If not 9 Mile, don't give me your solve, but like what's going on? Does that mean it was, you know, what are the implications? Do we think there's a second chest? Do we think there's an emerald ring waiting to be found? Was it waiting to be found and somebody's already found it and they're waiting to do something? Has someone found this treasure chest before Jack and they left it there? And Jack wasn't even the first one to find it. Those are the kind of things I'm thinking about right now. Colin Sauls. Yeah. Blech. No thanks. No thanks indeed. I have way too many tabs open. I don't know how this shit isn't glitching all the time. Hold on. Let me try to get rid of these tabs here. We don't need Twitter open, right? Imgur post is interesting. I don't want... No, I definitely want that open still. I don't need that because I can get that anytime. Did you guys check out the image of today's show on the thumbnail, the fire map? Get rid of that now. Get rid of that. I can get rid of that because I can get back to that anytime. I don't need Facebook. Do I need Facebook on? Anybody send me anything right now that I wanted to read this, but I gotta get back to that later. Oh yeah, that's a lot of text. Holy fuck. Yeah, I gotta get. Oh shit, man, this is like a whole story. All right, I'll get to, you know who you are. I'll get to that later. And then let's see. Candy agreeing with me on some things. Right. She's getting it now. All right, so 9 Mile Hole is correct because it matches the poem hints. The fact that Jack searched there is just a bonus. The fact that you'd even say that without Jack's statements, again, you're implying the same confidence that you implied back in June of 2020 in those videos that are still up, where in June of 2020 you were stating you knew where the solve was. In Montana, correct? Just like you're saying now that 9 Mile Hole is correct? Something's off there, man. The depth of the deepest rabbit hole in the chase is 9 miles. Like, correct or incorrect as they solve, that is very true. How deep is the hole indeed? And, you know, that'd be a total Fenn move to just do that and, you know, smoke it in our face like that. But again, something seems off here. Something seems off. I trust my gut on this kind of stuff. My gut is going crazy. My gut's been going crazy since, you know, the find. But it's now that I know what I know. There are more pages in TTOTC that take place in Texas and New Mexico than in Wyoming, if that matters at all. People seem to think it was all about Yellowstone. Well, Silver Fox, that's why I was a Colorado solver, man. I went to the place he talked about the least, and that was Colorado, I think. And the only thing that led me there was the importance of the silver bracelet, and then the misspelling of Richard Wetherill leading me to Mesa Verde. When it studied the Harveys a little bit, leading me to the Uncompahgre. So that was my solve process as well. But you know what? That in and of itself is confirmation bias, right? Just because he talks about it a lot does not mean in any way, shape, or form that it also isn't the correct answer. He didn't give us the rules or the parameters of how this puzzle was going to work or the mechanisms in which to solve it. We didn't know if it was a cipher. We didn't know if it was just a directional. We didn't know if it was an actual treasure map that needed to be. We don't know. We still don't know. People claiming to know can say they know, but they don't. Unless they've been given something direct from Forrest Fenn, they don't know. And again, I'm even sitting here questioning the video itself if one truly exists. So if you've seen alleged video and that's what's giving you confidence, whoever's out there, I've heard the stories. Why do you think I play the casino clip in the beginning of the show and other shows? But you know what? You know what my fallacy was for Colorado? I didn't let the poem take me to Colorado first. I let the misspelling of Richard Wetherill take me to Colorado first. And I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. But in those quotes, looking back when I was doing this, one of the quotes I came across was Forrest saying, listen, there's a couple of hints and a couple of aberrations, a couple of hints that will help you with the first couple of clues. So, A, you had to decipher really what was the first clue. Was it begin it? Was it where warm waters halt? Was it begin it where warm waters halt? Was it begin it where warm waters halt and take it in the canyon down, not far but too far to walk, but put in below the home of Brown? I mean, not the bud, but I mean, no one had determined what the clues were yet. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, no one has. Not a one. So for Rudy to tell me the hints, everything's Rudy saying, I'm not mocking it, but everything Rudy's saying, I'm sorry, no one's even told me what the clues actually are in this thing. Not Forrest, not the finder. I've certainly heard a lot of opinions on what the clues are. Lots of confidence there by a lot of people who don't have a treasure chest. The emerald ring's missing. A lot of confidence by a lot of people who don't have an emerald ring. There was a log right by the treasure chest. A lot of people with a lot of confidence who don't have a matching photo to the log by the treasure chest. Am I out of line? Your clues are none of my clues. And thank you. Well said, Alan. What did Alan say? Alan, in 20 to 80 years, we will all be dead, and we still won't know. That's the truth. Find your own peace. That's so depressing. I mean, I'll take 20 to 80 years. Shit, we don't know if we have tomorrow. Ben, pay attention to Preston. Indy, you say that to me as if I haven't been shouting that from the rooftops on my channel since day one, on your channel since the first time I've shown up, in which I started reciting lines from the Codex to you. Again, it's not a race for me of who is right and who is wrong, but pay attention to Preston. I know. I have been. He said the first clue is begin. Again, I think Preston is in on it, and I think Preston is in on the difficulty of it. I trust Preston quotes as much as I trust Forrest quotes, in that I will scrutinize the everlasting shit out of them because they might not mean what you think they mean. Dale gave us that warning on the website. Forrest being the wordsmith and master of the double entendre. If Doug Preston is his protege, and Doug Preston was to write his story, and Doug Preston knows enough to know that the poem was too easy at one point, and Doug Preston knew that there were hints in Once Upon a While, and Doug Preston knew that there were hints giving in certain interviews, I'm sorry that Doug Preston's in on it, and I don't trust him. As a treasure hunting game, I trust him as a human being, probably. I have no reason not to. I don't know him. But this is a treasure hunt in which they said it was going to be difficult but not impossible. Nothing is as it seems. There's a lot of emphasis from both Forrest and Doug Preston as to what the first clue is. Seems like they're giving a lot away, on the most important one too. I wonder if maybe there's something going on with those quotes. If maybe people's bias are taking them in a direction that they know it will be taken in. I think it's fair to wonder these things. I think if you're not wondering these things, you're doing it wrong. But that's my opinion. I don't have a treasure chest, but again, I don't claim to. I claim to want the truth. I claim to want the story. That's never changed. Y'all notice what time I started the stream at today? East Coast time. See ya, good luck. All right, see ya, Colo. People don't like to be told that they could be wrong. Did I say you're 100% wrong, Colo? Never. I said you could be. If that's too much, I'm sorry. Doug didn't say it was too easy. He asked Forrest if he thought it might be too easy. Forrest assured him he made it so difficult it would take 900 years to crack. That's from the forward from Once Upon a While. Right, I'm going from the actual interviews from Doug and Forrest. Go to that 2019 interview. Go to the ones where they actually talk. Because Doug isn't as good as Forrest. I think Doug gives away too much. That's the key. If you want the truth. Sure, Jack is going to tell us about 2 infamous slip-ups that only he apparently understood. You know what that means? If only he could understand that they were slip-ups, that's because only he solved the poem and got the treasure chest. That's one way to take it, right? Or it's an arrogant way of, apparently I'm the only smart one who saw this. And he could be taking it either way here, right? But Doug Preston, however, no mention of him by Jack that way. Look at this hand. Don't look at this one. I'm no longer interested in Forrest Fenn's slip-ups. That man was a master. I'm interested in Doug Preston's slip-ups because that man wasn't. Not for this game. He's a great writer. He's part of the treasure hunt, Inception, but he is not the master Forrest Fenn was. And I think Doug would be the first one to say that. Or Doug's on a perfect script written by Forrest, and he's doing exactly what Forrest tells him to say. And if that's the case, then how dare I question the end of this chase? How dare I question if this is fake and scripted? We have a history of him doing it in this hypothetical, correct? Doug likes to tease he was being a promoter. Sure. I mean, again, that's one way to look at it. Easy to dismiss it so we don't have to worry about it, right? I like I say, I'm going to look into everything. Jack is so full of shit. He, aka Doug, told us the first version. Remember, don't forget the Pendergast files. If you Google the Pendergast files and really get into the deep bowels of the internet, you'll find Doug offering the first version of the poem on the first edition of the Pendergast files, I think a week before the book even came out and published. There's lots with Doug Preston's involvement in the inception of this chase, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't know, now you know. Oh shit, yeah, no, Indy. I did find it. I showed you screenshots of that shit. It's findable. I was dismissed, I think. You were too busy. I showed it to a couple other people too. I think Jason Northface I showed it to. He was the only one who took it seriously. No, Andy, you took it seriously too. But there was so much other good shit going on, I think, if I remember. I don't know. It was a while back. Indy, can you answer my question to Ben above? What? INFJ, what'd you say? I don't see it anywhere. Yeah, I've scrolled up a lot now. I don't see it anywhere. But while I did scroll up, hey, what'd you say? Apologies. Treasure Warriors, I think it's more that Jack watched a lot of video in a short amount of time, and that's how he found them and others didn't. He can't possibly think he's the only person on the planet Earth who did that, right? He's a smart individual. You're saying Jack is going to make the assumption that only he in the chase was the only one who watched long enough videotapes of Forrest Fenn to catch the slip-ups? How does he know that no one else caught the slip-ups? How does he know that someone wasn't right behind him and just not connecting the slip-ups to something else? Right? Like that's... I think Jack tries to tell stuff, but in a deductive way. But you have to just get rid of all the other shit that he throws in front of it and behind it and around it. The version of the poem wasn't found. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm not. Yeah, you know what? I think the weird web page I was at had what did it have? It was promising the poem, but then I think the link to the actual poem part is no longer there, or was never fulfilled, or something like that. Something weird happened about it. Buy Litecoin. I believe this is how it's supposed to play out, because now if you find the chest, Force is telling you to shut up about it. That'd be an interesting situation if there was a second chest. I wonder what other things Forrest Fenn had forgeries of. How does he know that no one else found the slip-ups? Impossible to know that. It's impossible to know that. It's a statement no credible person would make. Certainly not one of the acumen of Jack and what he's portraying to us. He's saying that statement for a very, very specific reason. Susie says, I got into some trouble pointing out Douglas's connections back in 2018 or 19. You want to elaborate on that, Susie? What kind of trouble did you get into? Please do tell. James, you're right. And then no one found these alleged slip-ups, or at least conclusively. After he stated that, please, we all ripped those interviews apart. If something was there, it would have been found. I tend to agree with that, yes. Treasure Warriors, maybe someone else found the slip-ups, but only searched for 24 days. Right. Now this I could understand, right? Jack was so confident in his solve that he left the treasure chest there for a whole year, letting other people have a chance. I don't know if you'd say letting other people have a chance or just knowing no one else had a chance. That could be. But again, then I would question what gave him that. I can become a mastery of cognitive bias. That's not going to make me any closer to getting to the treasure chest. And it's not going to change the words in the poem. It might make me understand them, but I think we've all taken certain cracks at certain things here. And by osmosis, we should have at least, unfortunately or luckily, cracked something or other that was intended to be cracked. Begin at warm waters halt. Begin at where warm waters halt. Madison Junction, okay. The Gibbon, okay. Lone Star Geyser, okay. Old Faithful, okay. Nez Perce, okay. The border of Montana, Wyoming, okay. Westgate entrance, okay. Something made Jack very confident if he left it there for a whole year. I do agree. That 24-day comment was funny. It was. I wish I had like a prize to give out for funny comments. I'm going to give a fishing fly away for every fun. No, I'm not doing that. I think he became obsessed and watched them one after another right from the beginning of his chase. I don't think others really did that so obsessively, methodically right from the start like that. Oh boy. I can tell you I did. I can tell you every single person I've talked to, you know, chase related in person has told me something to that effect. Damn near. I can tell you, I mean, I only joined in 2019, but you know, I had a lot to catch up on, but COVID happened, which made it a lot easier. But I also changed my life during COVID, so I was done being a sales whore, in my opinion. So I had more time on my hands. Can I just call in to talk about it? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I will, oh God, I have like an eyelash in my eye. And it has not gone out. Does this sound like repeat or something? K-Pax, man. Let's go K-Pax. I see another message here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Back. Yeah, maybe. All right. I gotta find Susie. Oh, we're friends with Susie on Facebook, right? Susie, are you on Facebook? No, maybe not. I don't. I'll just put the fucking number up here. Hold on. I mean, this is basically for Susie, but whatever, anybody can. It's fine. Other people found the slip-ups too. They just didn't realize their significance at the time. Jack what's the full statement here? Slip-ups that apparently haven't been found by anyone else other than me. He didn't say slip-ups that were found and understood by only me. He just said found. Aren't you adding to the significance portion to that? Again, man, it's you avoid you have avoided it the entire time. There's a history of it in this stream, specifically to the significance of your understanding of the solve and how you are so confident about it. Aside from saying there's hints in the book, how do you know there's hints in the books? How do you know those hints are right? What's your confidence level? What's your percentage level, Rudy? How about that? That's an innocuous question. What's your percentage of what you've said that I put up on the screen? What's the percentage, man? Let's hear it. Was it the Medium article where Jack said he figured out where Forrest wanted to die? Yeah, that first one. Ooh, we got a call in. Hopefully it's Susie. All right, let me jump to it.
from Susie.
Yay! All
To
right.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, Susie.
Hi, Ben.
How are you?
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Got my
You're loud and
headphones
clear.
on and
Yeah, you're loud and
Okay.
clear. Sometimes these callers can be really soft. I have to like put the speaker up to like my webcam thingy, but you're loud and clear, so you're good.
Wow. I just had to, jump in with my 2 cents from the whole Douglas Preston connection.
Yes,
Because
please do.
back in 2018, right? That's when I started making videos, and I was making videos like all the time, like every day basically. And I did research every day, and I didn't and by doing that, what I mean is, even when I was out like at the grocery store or out in my yard or whatever I did, I would listen. I would just put Forrest Fenn in my ear. I would just put one of his interviews, whatever it was, just like, okay, I'll listen to this for the 100th time, right?
Right.
Well, I did that so many times that in the audience, I heard, there was people asking questions, and it was during the I think it was Moby Dickens. A Gypsy's Kiss is the one who filmed Forrest talking, and it was when so that interview, anyway, there were questions from the audience, right? And distinctly, after listening to it so many times, and then listening to Douglas Preston and Forrest together,
right,
like really old interviews. Okay,
yeah.
So then
I know where you're going.
Oh my God, that's Douglas Preston. That's Douglas Preston in the asking the questions.
Correct.
And so I'm like, wow, these are seated. Of course they're seated questions, because Forrest is having this recorded by a Gypsy's Kiss to publish this interview, and he wants to make sure that the right questions are asked, right? I didn't think anything nefarious or anything.
It's a great way to make sure that nobody honestly even gets an advantage, because he knows it's going to be broadcast to everybody. I think it's a great, clever move.
Right. And so anyway, so I made a video going, listen to this, you guys. And I think, I'm not sure how I presented the information, but I'm like, look at, and I played a little snippet of him talking, Douglas Preston talking with Forrest, just a different interview. And then I'm like, okay. And then I went back to the interview with that a Gypsy's Kiss did, and I'm like, listen to this voice. It's the same guy. So let's pay attention to these questions that he's asking.
Right.
Let's pay attention. Let's figure out why the questions that Forrest wanted asked.
Totally. Yes.
During these interviews, right? And so I got Toby, Gypsy's Kiss then said, somebody contacted, I don't know if he watched my video, I don't know how it happened, but anyway, Toby said, because it was kind of like a little stir up at the moment, I don't know. Anyway, so Toby said, absolutely not. I had just met with, that was not Preston, and he denied it. He totally denied that. He's like, I was introduced to Preston just the week previous at a different function that I taped.
Right.
And the guy is like 6'5" or something, like he's really tall, and he's got striking white hair. And so Toby was going, that wasn't him. And it's like, yeah.
Okay, so Susie, this is amazing. Okay, so hold on. So is it possible, and I'm going to explain why in a second, is it possible that Toby was innocently stating, no way it was Doug, because Toby just convinced himself it wasn't Doug? And here's the reason why I think so. Here's the reason why I think so.
Okay.
Is it possible? Now, you remember the days, I hope, of Andy Kaufman?
Yeah.
Okay. Andy Kaufman had a partner, Bob Zmuda. And when Andy Kaufman was performing sometimes, Bob Zmuda would dress up as Tony Clifton. And Andy Kaufman would be in the audience, or reverse it. Andy Kaufman would be dressed as Tony Clifton, which he normally did. And then Bob Zamuda would be an audience member, and Tony Clifton would then interact with Bob Zamuda and do a skit with him.
Exactly.
Is it
Yep.
possible
Yep.
that Doug Preston was just in disguise and Toby didn't catch it?
I think absolutely Toby knew about it.
You think he knew?
I think Toby knew about it, and he was covering this. I think that was part of the idea. Like, I think Toby and a Gypsy's cast had way more, like, he always played it off that him and Forrest never got along, and that, you know, there's no connection, they don't talk to each other, there's nothing, you know, severed time, you know. And that was all, to me, was a front, because, you know, we couldn't have, Forrest couldn't be a part of that, you know, I mean, without making it horrible, you know, awkward and icky and everything. So they just, you know, deniability. Let's pretend we hate each other. Let's talk, you know, through somebody else, or however they handled it. You know, if there was non-disclosure agreement between Forrest and Toby or whatever. But I think Toby's role was a lot more connected to Forrest than what he's led us on to believe. You know, and
didn't Toby stop? Didn't Toby stop searching?
And what's that?
Didn't Toby stop searching at one point?
Yeah, he did. He was just like, he tried to walk away a couple of times, and it was because of drama. You know, it was like all this
I can understand that.
You know, it's a stupid drama. And,
right.
You know, when I look back at it now, it's like, I remember being you know, people trying to drag me into the drama. And I was I'm like, I don't have time for that crap. I'm too busy looking up the Lewis and Clark Trail or whatever.
100%,
you know, I'm
I
too
believe
busy
you. Yeah.
researching. I'd rather listen to Forrest for the 100th time at the Moby Dickens bookstore than listen to somebody's got, you know, whatever is crap out there in the, you know, the rest of the chase land. So, although I was, you know, I always tried to just stay away from that. And
so when you say you got in trouble, what happened?
Well, Toby, I can't quite remember because it was years ago now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like Toby, like I instantly had to take my video down. It might have been a live show where I was showing bits of Toby's interview, perhaps, you know, going, listen, this is the same voice, you know, compare it.
I've heard it.
And
It's
Toby's like,
yeah.
And so I think, like, I maybe got a copyright strike. I can't remember what it was, or if it was just Toby. It's like, you take that down immediately, or I can't remember how it all went down, but I just got an icky feeling when you guys started talking about this again. It's like, oh, that's right.
Well, maybe I'll get a copyright strike today for doing this.
And then there's also, like, I can't remember the name. I should look. I don't know if I can talk on my phone and look at the same time. But there was a song out there, the Thrill of the Chase song, and it was put out onto YouTube, like in 2010 or 2011, like way early in the chase, right? And it was by FOXX Inc. or something, Fox Inc. or something like that was the YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, when you looked at the comment, like I listened to that over and over, because there was, like, they showed a picture of the map of New Mexico, and it was a different map of New Mexico than the map of New Mexico that is laid, like, behind the page in the Thrill of the Chase. There's
Mm-hmm.
that map page that's New Mexico. Anyway, so that caught my attention, so I kept watching that video over and over, trying to catch the map that they used and wondering if that was any connection. You know, this is a treasure hunt. Hey, this is before there were any rules, before there were any, you know, there was no fine, there was nothing. It was just all things are in play. So I'm picking apart other people's videos, whatever, that song.
Mm-hmm.
But the first, when I went to comment on it, the first comment from, like, the day it came out or the day after it came out was from Doug Preston. And I can't remember what the comment was, but it was, you know, because the date that you comment stays on, you know, it says who it was, and then it says the date, right? And it was just like the same day it came out or the day after. And I'm like, look at this, everybody. This is the only comment. And I pointed that out on one of my shows as well. So look at this. It's like the only comment that you could, that was on here. And it's Douglas Preston. And so who is this Fox person? And then the next thing you know, that comment was gone. It was deleted, or what they did is they list whoever it was heard me, got back into their video and sorted the comments from instead of the oldest to newest to oldest, or whatever, however it was. So that comment was not on top anymore and it wasn't pinned. And so you had to like search for it in the timeline to see if you could find that Douglas Preston comment. They heard me talking about that connection to that. I don't know if it was a pinned comment that then they unpinned, but it happened the same day that I was talking about it, or the next day, because I went back to show everybody and it was like, oh, it's gone, you know? And that was another Douglas Preston thing when I was pushing on that Douglas Preston button, you know?
Right.
It was in that same time. So it was a lot of making Douglas connected, but not really. Is the feeling ever since I've been in the chase. That's the feeling that you get. It's like he helped Forrest plan this, because it was common knowledge that he had the movie rights to this Thrill of the Chase, and that Forrest wanted Douglas to write the book. This is common knowledge. This is not a big deal, you know? And so he said, yes, I saw the chest. I was been in the vault. I saw the poem, and thought it was too easy. So obviously the guy knows.
Right.
And so now, bring it to today. It's like, oh God, what, what is it now? What, is this Douglas's movie being produced right now? Is this, what is
Hi,
it?
Doug.
That's
right. I'm with you. I think Doug has had a role in this, whether people knew it or not. Maybe I'm wrong, but
there's no way he wrote the codex before the Thrill of the Chase. Like while the Thrill of the Chase was being planned, Douglas wrote the codex.
Well, Susie, come on, you've done the math, right? Let's do the math. So Forrest said he started planning this out when he got cancer. So that's 1988. Now, he said it took him 15 years once he started this to have the poem written. And then we have a weird timeline of written versus when he hid the chest or not. It doesn't matter. 15 years after 1988 is 2003. That is the year the codex gets released. So it implies if he hid the chest, he did not hide the chest in 2009 or 2010. He hid the chest in 2003.
Well, I think he knew where he was going to hide it way back then. And whether
right, but he knew he was going to. Well, Susie, remember this. He knew where he was going to hide it from the beginning. Remember, it was always going to be that spot. Yes. So he knows that in 1988 when he comes up with the treasure hunt. He already knows the spot in 1988. So what takes 15 years? Writing the poem. So that means he's done writing the poem in 2003.
Well, and do we know he started at 88? He said after he got cancer, so it's like when, you could move that timeline to he didn't start till 1993.
I think you could. I think there might be conflicting quotes on it, and maybe therein lies part of the game is to figure out the confliction.
Yes,
for sure.
And that's it, because he didn't really want. But now didn't Forrest say he hit it? Well, he did before it was found. He said he either hit it in 2008 or 2009 because he didn't want somebody to go back and look at all the records and see where he was, or if he rented a car, or all that. But he just said he's vague about it, and he hit it in 2008 or 9, which to me, I think that's not relevant to the story of when it was actually placed out into the wilderness. I don't think that's really, I don't think that has any matter to it.
Well, you know why I think it has a little matter? I don't think it has relevance onto a solve or anything like that. But what I think it matters is, and in my hypothetical, I think he hit it in 03. But remember my chance encounter with Fenn, he tells me it's already been hidden. And that's July of 2009. So, and the official quote was, I either hit it in 2010 or 2009. I didn't want people to know, blah, blah, blah. But so it was 09 or 010. He told me it was already hidden, and that was July of 09. Now, here's why I think, yeah?
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, here's why I think it makes sense that it would have been hidden a long time before we ever get the book. If he hides it in 03, now, maybe Preston knows about it. Maybe someone close to the family has seen the poem, but not a solve. And he sits and waits and sees if anybody happens to stumble upon this chest where he hid it. And from 03 to 2010, 7 years, nobody does. And he goes, okay, I know it's in this good spot. Nobody found it in 7 years without me saying anything. Now I'm finally going to say something, but nobody accidentally stumbled upon it. And that's why I can say with confidence, you ain't going to stumble upon this treasure chest. He knows because it's already been out there for 7 years and no one found it.
Right. But I still, yeah, fine. But I still don't think it's, that big of a deal. What if he did a test run?
Right. No, I don't think it's that big of a deal either, but I do like to understand maybe the mechanisms of his thinking during the construction of it.
Right.
It explains why he's so confident.
And it just seems that there's so many more characters involved in this that when he's like, no, nobody knows, and maybe nobody knows the exact spot, but people know. And I totally think people, now they know for sure, but beforehand, I think he did try to not, maybe Douglas does know the whole time and knew the whole time, but that needed to not be a thing, because
right.
People, right. I'm going to pull, I just came up to my computer. I'm going to pull you up on here so I can see the chat too, or what's going on. Okay, so Douglas Preston's current role. What's your feelings on where he is now, and what's his current role in this?
I think there's a reason he has been so painfully quiet. And
painfully quiet, disappeared.
Right.
And we know he has movie rights, and he knows,
and yet
number 2.
And yet he hasn't really disappeared, right? These books are coming out. Diablo Mesa just came out, right?
Yeah.
And he does press tours. Book. He's done Zoom meeting things that are on YouTube where he talks about his time in 2015 going, into the jungle and getting sick. Like, he's been out and about in public. It's not like he's been hiding. He has said zilch about the chase, at least publicly. And he has said really zilch about anything except for a little bit about Forrest Fenn post-chase, and he said it to Dan Barbarisi. And it wasn't really, it was a little bit of context as to Forrest and Doug's time together at the end of the summer, with Forrest coming quickly to the time where he passes. And you can sense a tone of unfortunateness in Doug. There's that. But as it relates to anything else, no, Doug hasn't said a damn word. And he knows he hasn't said a word. His silence is deafening on this chase.
Well, what's a really important chunk here at the end of this all is that the interview is K-Pro and Mike's pieces for their documentary. They started, they said they were going to make a documentary. They filmed Forrest and Preston at Preston's house. And
wait, when did that happen?
The 2019.
Oh, the 2019. That was at Preston's house? I thought that was at Forrest's house.
No, that was at Preston.
I didn't know. I was like, maybe Forrest has another room. I've never been to Forrest's house. I wasn't one of the lucky ones who got invited over or anything like that. Point, but like, I thought maybe that was just Forrest's house. Okay, good to know.
April told us all that. April,
Oh yeah, no, I know she did. I probably just forgot that it was said, and yada. And over time, I just didn't even realize that it was Doug's house. It's not a mystery or anything. I'm just like, okay, I forgot.
Right, and they were, just the fact that like Forrest had him right there with him for this interview, for the last, you know, and I would also be interested to know if when Jens filmed Forrest, the interview with Forrest, was Douglas also there at that point? And, you know, was he a part of it there too? I wonder.
I mean, I think that's a good question. I think everything's my internet just like tanked right now. I don't know what's going on.
You're frozen on my.
Am I frozen?
screen.
Is the audio still there, or is it like completely tanked? It should be.
I have no idea because I can't listen to you because I'm on.
I think we're still going, but it means one of the kids hopped on the Oculus VR headsets and it just sucks the internet away for a minute. I have to like shut everything off up here so I can like reserve some bandwidth.
Cooley says, do you think Doug is involved in a movie, book, documentary? He signed NDA, question mark?
Who said that? Hooley?
Cooley.
Let me look here. Treasure Warrior. Let's see, okay.
Absolutely, Cooley. Because why would he, you know, when he said that, when he shopped this idea to, I can't think of the name of the producer, or the producer, said, do you have any ideas for a good movie? No, not right now, but hey, wait a minute. And then asked for us, hey, do you mind if I use your story as a movie? And they were going to do it. And then it was like, no, let's shelf that project, whatever, you know? And so I think that whole idea, why they told us that, and then that made it clear who had the movie rights here. Forrest said Douglas has the movie rights, those two on camera.
Right.
You know, so it's been documented. So that tells me that maybe that's what we're, you know, into right now. You know, is the creation of Forrest Fenn the movie, the Chase the movie, with actors and actresses, and you know, not real, you know, the story being told. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but you know what? It like, I mean, that could be fun. I don't think that's what's going on, but that would be fun. David Crumb says that the Chase would make a shitty movie. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the Chase would make an all right movie. It depends how it ends.
Well, it's got such a shitty ending.
I don't think we're at the ending. I've never believed we're at the ending. When there's no Emerald Ring, that was my first signal that we are not at this ending.
I know everybody's hyped, but I am not excited about that Emerald Ring thing at all, because to me, it's in Jack's jewelry box or in his, you know, underwear drawer. That's his souvenir from the Chase, and they can both go, it wasn't there. Well, prove it. Prove it was there, you know? So I think that's his freebie souvenir, and it's, you know, it's going to be his own piece of the Chase after the rest of all the stuff is sold, you know.
Well, but that doesn't match the character of Jack Stoof that's been put in front of us. The character of Jack Stoof stated specifically, I couldn't be more opposite than Forrest Fenn in that the idea of possessions feels like a burden. He doesn't even like the idea of a sentimental. No, he doesn't even like the idea of sentimental one ring. This man churns on Reddit. This is a subreddit culture of people who actively go on forums and engage on how they can make the system of credit card points work in their benefit in a way that none of us would even think imaginable. And they get all sorts of free. He wants every nickel and dime. I promise. At least that's the character that's been told to us. He does not give a shit about the Emerald Ring. It's worth a lot of money.
I know, but he says it's not there. It's not.
Right. It didn't grow legs. It didn't grow legs and disappear. Right? What is the concept here of possibly it was left as a second place? A way to confirm you're at the right spot, and then you take the ring. You can tell everybody if you want to.
Right, there is a theory, but to me it seems like you can't find a 10 by 10 inch box. You're not going to find a tiny ring, a 2-inch ring. No.
Well, let me reverse that. If you can't find a 2-inch ring, you are also not going to find a 10-inch box either. I think you can find a 10. If you can find a 10-inch box, if you were able to take the Rocky Mountains and then find a 10-inch box, you can take the Rocky Mountains and find a 2-inch box.
Okay, it's possible. Another possibility is somebody else really did find that chest
Mm.
and build a fake blade and took the ring and said, I want nothing else to do with this, you know, kind of like panicked with, nope, I'm content. I got my prize. I'm gonna, you know, and built the fake blade. Somebody else really did find it, you know.
That I could see that just as likely as well. Sure. Point is, we definitely are not at the end in terms of an end, and it seems as if now maybe the end is purposely being kept from us, and we are not going to get the end because the end is dangerous to people.
Why would it be dangerous?
I don't know. There seems to be some kind of push of narratives here, and sure, some people believe in the 9 Mile Hole solve, some people don't, but it certainly seems like a lot of people want that to be the narrative.
Well, whatever. I can't grab onto any area, including the 9 Mile Solve, because it didn't come from Jack and it didn't come from Forrest. It's just a theory of somebody's, and I see no proof. I've got, nobody made sense of the clues. No one said, here in the book is where I found this clue, is which led me to here, to there. Nothing that.
What would you do
if
Forrest, if the video was real? Would you believe it then?
Yes.
See, I wouldn't.
Why?
Because I think Forrest is. I think this is the embodiment and the example of Forrest going to great lengths to never reveal the real spot. That he will put out a video of the fake spot just to keep people from the real spot, because the whole point is you got to solve that poem to get there.
Well, that's it. If he comes out with the video solving the poem and the steps that do it, then there you are.
You don't think in all these years, 15 years plus the 10 years of the chase, you don't think in 25 years he could come up with a fake solve to his poem that he wrote and make it make sense?
I don't see a purpose.
There's a purpose. The purpose is, he said, and apparently from what I understand, this video is a last resort, right? He said he was never going to tell the secret, ever. Do we think someone changed his mind at the last second? Did they suddenly remind him where he put the chest? What changed his mind?
I know, because he always told it, you know, it's like, never was I, during this whole time I was in the chase, never was I led to believe that we were never going to know anything. Either the scenario would be, it would never be found,
right.
So everyone continue chasing, when there's no answers, that's fine, Forrest passed away, we're still out there looking.
Right.
That was one scenario. Or if it's found, it didn't cross my mind that we wouldn't get to know the answers to the poem, or the, you know, it's, the location seems irrelevant.
Forrest, for the first 80%. For the first 80% of this chase, the first 8 years, maybe 7 years, you're going to kick yourself when you find out. Okay, that was the precedent he set. It changed in 2019. We now know that. He did not want this location out. Is it possible that our finder wanted the location out, but our finder was told no by Forrest? Because now we know from behind the scenes through Cynthia that Forrest didn't want the location out. It's going to be up to the finder, but he didn't want it out. Is it possible that Forrest is the one who told Jack not to release the location? And again, I ask, if that's the case, then yes, he would put out a fake video, fake solve, if it had to come to that, to protect the spot, because he wasn't going to tell anyone.
It better be a damn good fake solve if it is going to be one, because it's got to make sense.
Well, I think some people consider 9 Mile Hole a good enough fake solve, if it's a fake solve. We don't know it's a fake solve.
I don't see anything there that unlocked the clues in the book that helped you find the place on a map. Our instructions on how to solve this, or how to do this treasure hunt, said unlock the clues scattered amongst these pages. Somebody show me a clue scattered amongst the pages that helped them unlock, which means there's a key to this. Where's that key? What is the key? you know.
Well, there's been a little bit.
Macs have keys.
There's been a little bit. We have Copper Dan with apparently these illustrations and going over the original versions of these illustrations versus the illustrations that show up in the actual book of TTOTC, and there's subtle differences and subtle changes to them.
I know, that's fantastic. Those, I mean, that's like a wowza.
So some of those
situation.
were illuminating, don't you think? Like, and then they revealed a little bit of their methodology of what I think they were just working on, and they saw the letters MADISON in the woman's who's doing her handout doing halt, and in their minds that's a good hint to Madison Junction.
And she's got a big giant 78 on her head. I mean, it's like, so I could see numbers associated with like that halt, that lady with the halt. Number 78 is where the halt stops. And I don't know how that, is it, I can't, that's to me, that's, I can do that all day long, and I have done that all day long.
And what's interesting, Susie? You and I right now, or anyone else, we weren't the first ones to come up with something being fake in the ending of this treasure hunt. Jack Stoof made that a narrative when he said he ran across the fake blaze. It was unnecessary for him to ever even mention that in any part of his article to us. It had nothing to do with the solve. It had nothing to do with the location. It had nothing to do with Forrest Fenn.
It was his reason that he called Forrest. The fake blaze is, he said he called Forrest and said, I found a fake blaze back in 2018.
Susie, he could have just said,
huh?
Susie,
I can't hear you.
Right, but and he wasn't even sure it was a fake blaze. That's why he called Forrest. So but the idea
so it's a part of the narrative, but why?
So a fake double thing is part of the narrative. In a treasure hunt that ends with 2 omegas, that means 2 endings. And now we have this ending put out. I find it to either be false or it's just part 1 and there's a part 2. Maybe all 9 Mile stuff is real, but there's some secret to it. That I can't believe that part. I honestly don't. We've scoured 9 Mile. I get it. It's a cool spot. It meant a lot to him. Maybe he married Peggy there. Maybe he didn't. Or got engaged, or maybe he did. Maybe he didn't.
I know. Look at what time. You know what? I gotta go. I can't.
Rudy says he's been 12 inches from the spot. Again, Rudy just blasting the confidence out. Won't explain how he knows this for sure, but really wants to make sure everybody knows he was 12 inches from the spot. So let's make sure everybody knows.
Well, you know what? Rudy's a solid dude, man.
He is. I don't get it.
He's logical and doesn't. He stays out of the nonsense. So
and I've discussed this with Rudy. Susie, I've discussed this with Rudy in person. Staying out of the nonsense, not so much. In June of 2020, he was putting out videos saying he had solved the treasure hunt, and that it was in Montana. So, I hear a lot of people give shit to K-Pro for GPS. Rudy put out a video saying the solve was 100% in Montana. He did a video showing everywhere where it was. So, yeah. Now he's saying he's been 12 inches from the spot. Again, this is why I will follow up and ask. And again, I acted like this to Rudy in person. I shook his hand. I said, "Well, great to meet you. We shared a brunch together. This is how I am." He says he's been 12 inches from the spot. How does he know he's been 12 inches from the spot? What is he holding back? And he won't answer that.
Right? Maybe he knows something that maybe he knows something we don't.
Rudy is now saying lots of people were confident in their solves in 2020. Rudy, you said this is where the spot was. You did a whole thing. Your video is still up. I thought they were taken down for a while, but it's right there.
Ben, I gotta jump off.
All righty. Sorry, Susie.
But thank you so much for taking my call. And
no problem.
Letting me.
Interesting about the Doug Preston stuff. We're gonna get into Doug Preston right now, so take a listen.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna tune in.
Bye.
Bye.
That was fun. All right. I'm going to take this off for a minute because we're going to find Doug Preston. It's pretty early, I think.
Get with you.
Now, remember, Toby has told me I have permission to use his channel. I mean, I asked for it explicitly, and he gave it to me explicitly. He's not rescinded that, so I assume I still have the ability to. And if that changes, I'm sure I'll get an email.
Well, then I'm not going. And we laughed and changed the subject. But that night I started thinking about that. Who says I can't take it with me?
We're just gonna let it
What do I
go.
have to
I'll
live
just
by
let. I
everybody
think it's in the
else's rules?
first few minutes when I first
If I'm
heard
gonna
his
die of
voice. But we'll
cancer,
see.
I'm gonna take some stuff with me, and I made up my mind. So I bought this beautiful little treasure chest, 10 inches by 10 inches and 6 inches high. Wonderful Romanesque thing. An antique scholar told me that it was probably Romanesque, 11th or 12th century. Maybe it held a Bible or a book of days, but it was wonderful. Had a great patina on it. And I started filling it up with things that I thought would be attractive. There are 265 gold coins, American, mostly eagles and double eagles.
Apollo, I would again, I would
There's
direct
some
you to go
Middle
to
Eastern
that
gold
video of
coins that
Rudy's on
date
his
to
channel
13th
and
century.
take a listen for yourself.
There's a little bottle of gold dust in there, and there are hundreds and hundreds of gold nuggets, mostly from Alaska, placer nuggets. 2 of them are so large that they're the same size as
Is this the right one? 'Cause, yeah, there's no purple sweater in this one. I think so. I think this
as
is
a
the right
hen's
one.
egg. They weigh more than a pound apiece. And there, in this chest, I put hundreds of rubies. There are 2 beautiful Ceylon sapphires. There are 8 emeralds, lots of little diamonds, pre-Columbian wakas,
Waka, 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 waka.
2,000-year-old bracelets, and a Tyrona and sinew necklace that dates probably 2,500 years old. The fetishes on the necklace are made out of quartz crystal and carnelian and
Fair,
some of my
and
precious
Rudy could have
stones.
changed his mind, but again,
And
now
I-
he's saying
I
he's been
told
12 inches
myself
from
I
the spot
wanted
again.
it
I'm
to
asking
be
for why. How does he know
visual
that? And I
enough
haven't gotten an answer.
So that when a person found the treasure chest and opened it for the first time, they would just lean back and start laughing. And I've showed the chest to a number of people in Santa Fe, and that's what they all did. So I invite you to go look for the treasure
Such a
chest.
salesman.
And my plan was to, if I was going to die of
Rising
cancer,
star. And he wore that a bit, I think, right?
They said I had a 1 in 5 chance of living 3 years. That told me I had a year, probably, anyway. So I decided, I knew where I was going to hide the treasure chest. And I told myself, with my last gasping
So I already knew in 88 where it was.
breath,
We said that,
I
but
was
I'm just
gonna
saying it again.
go out there and fling myself on top of that treasure chest.
I always thought that meant a
Let
waterfall. He's
my
going to fling.
bones
He'd
go
get to the
back
top of the waterfall and he'd
to
just
the dirt. It was a
jump to
great
the bottom,
plan.
holding on to it. I always,
trouble
but then,
with it
then
was
it
I
would
got
break.
well.
It wouldn't make any sense. Unless the chest was already down there
it
and
wasn't a
he
story.
jumps onto the chest that's already
But
laying
I
down
told
there.
myself, just because
Suicide.
I got well
That'd be a
didn't
big
mean that
waterfall
I
then,
could
right?
not hide the treasure chest anyway, and I did that. And
You'd
Yeah,
want to make sure
in
it
my book,
is.
The Thrill of the Chase, there's a poem in there that has 9 clues in it. If you can follow the clues to the treasure chest, you can have the treasure chest. And I thought about that a lot. And when I
had an eyelash in my eye all
when I
day.
hid
I
the
think.
treasure chest, I had to make 2 trips because the thing weighs 42 pounds. It's small, but its gold is heavy.
When is this damn question?
And when I hit it and was walking back to my car, I started laughing out loud. And I said, Forrest Fenn, did you really do that? but I had a hold card. I told myself, if I decide later I didn't want to do it, I could go back and get it. But the more I thought about it, the more I said, yeah, this is perfect. Why can't I influence
And hey,
somebody
that's, again, that's all
1,000
good and
years from
dandy.
now?
I'm saying that's why I'm allowed to follow up and ask why Rudy
Okay,
is
this
acting so
weekend.
confident with this. To which he's
If you can find it, I think it'll be
98%.
worth your while. A lady,
nobody else here is
reporter from
98%.
Texas called me on the phone. She said,
Unless they
"Mr.
are
Fenn,
privy
who
to
is
some
your
kind of
audience for
information
this
we don't
strange
have."
book?" I said, my audience is every redneck in Texas with a pickup truck, a wife and 12 kids who lost his job. I said, throw a bedroll in the back of your truck and go look for the treasure chest and take the kids. Get the kids
I mean,
out of the
that's very
game
possible, Carrie.
away from their little
I hope not, but I
time
think that's very
machines and
possible.
let them
Yeah.
breathe the sunshine and the things that the forest has to offer. A wonderful opportunity. And I just this last week passed 25,000 emails from people, and probably 15,000 of them have told me, Mr. Fenn, we're not going to find the chest. We know that, but
He already has 25,000 emails in 2013. $25,000 total emails? Come on. Guys.
I want to thank you for getting me and my kids off the couch and out into the truck. So, I could go on and on, but I don't want to talk too much. I would entertain some questions if anybody has one.
Oh, here we go. Hold on. I think this is it.
Yes, sir.
Did I understand
No,
that the
that's
proceeds from your book are going to cancer?
I'm having trouble hearing him.
I think it's the next one.
Will happen or not, but that's the plan anyway. Is there another question?
I have one about the point. If you
Oh,
follow
she
the
says you're
point
dangerous.
precisely,
Yeah, I think it's after this.
will you
I
find
can't
yourself
remember.
switching back?
If you follow the clues in the poem precisely, would I what?
Will you find yourself switching back? Making a loop?
This gal's dangerous. Would I find myself switching back? I think I can say no to that without giving away too much of the clue.
Okay.
Nobody is going to happen on that treasure chest. You're going to have to figure out the clues in the poem and go to it. There are several people that have deciphered the first two clues. I don't think they knew it because they walked right on past the treasure chest. And I'm not going to tell those people who they are because one of them particularly would faint, I know, and she'd tear the countryside up trying to figure out where they had been. But it's an opportunity to doesn't have any downsides. I think everybody wins if you go out looking for it. Another question?
Given that you simply gave that way to the you gave it away. You gave this treasure away to the cosmos and to whomever. Did you have any heart wish of how the treasure might be used for good?
No.
Bless you.
And I don't feel like I've given it away. Whoever finds it is going to earn it.
Do you think it's a 10-year, 100-year? When do you think it'll actually be discovered?
Why don't you ask me how deep is a hole?
Okay, how deep's the hole?
It's not predictable. But I know that I think this last summer there were I'm guessing, but I think there were 35,000 people out looking for the treasure chest.
Are you concerned that once it is discovered that your private spot will be exposed to so many people that it will no longer become special? Or
there's all kinds of case scenarios. If a person finds it and he doesn't want the IRS to know it, then maybe the spot will never be revealed. But in my opinion, the type of person that's going to find a treasure chest is the type of person that can't keep it quiet. But I'm not worried about that really. Yes, ma'am.
You said that it took you 2 trips to hide the treasure. Did you hide it 2 times, or did you carry it the second time?
I hid the whole thing in one spot, but it took me 2 trips to get to that spot with the weight of the treasure chest.
From the car to the spot.
Very special spot.
Could you tell us more about
Lots of
what's in
places
your
are
book?
200 feet from the parking lot, Kiwi.
Like, it's not just the poem, but it's a memoir, right? So
It's a memoir. I never did go to college. I made D's and I prayed for D's in high school and nobody ever listened. I graduated because my father was a principal.
I don't know where this is. It's coming soon. Fuck it.
And so I never did read the great books. And I talk in my book about Hemingway and other writers that are very internationally celebrated. And so I went down to the bookstore and I got a couple of those books. And I
The one at least I
told
remember.
myself, these things are no good. For whom the bell tolls, I wrote about 1/3 of that thing and threw it in the trash. And I started to wonder, why does there? I mean, you may think those are wonderful books. I'm a little bit weird. I have to admit that. But then J.D. Salinger died, and everybody, Diane Sawyer's talking about how wonderful he was, that he wrote books and put them in a vault so nobody could see them. And I told myself,
Damn right,
this is my kind of guy. So So I went down and I bought Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. And I thought I was going to like that book because I'd never heard of the guy. And I said, everybody thinks the book's pretty good. He's nobody, so it must be a pretty good book. So I started reading it, and I read a little bit, and I put it down. I started thinking about it, and I read some more. And it took me about a day and a half to finish that book. And I wasn't ready for it to end when it was over. But I started telling myself, you know, if this is a good book, if Catcher in the Rye is a good book, I can do that. It's nothing but a guy talking to himself, really is what it is. And I said, I can do that. And so I started writing my memoir, and I started remembering, and I would encourage all of you to write your memoir. You don't have to edit it. Send it to the Library of Congress. They love those things. Start with your earliest recollections like I did. I remember when my grandmother told me about when she was a kid in Fort Worth, watching the Comanche and Kiowa Indians run through their...
So, Comanche, coyotes. That's how he says he starts his memoir. Is that how it starts in The Thrill of the Chase?
You don't have to edit it. Send it to the Library of Congress. They love those things. Start with your earliest recollections like I did. I remember when my grandmother told me about when she was a kid in Fort Worth, watching the Comanche and Kiowa Indians run through their barnyard trying to catch chickens. I have two daughters that are in their 50s who don't know who Clark Gable was.
Oh, yeah?
So I wanted my kids, my family, my grandkids to know something about my family. Something about me and my wife and what we've done and where we've been, and kind of a peek back into our lives. And so and at the same time, I was thinking about my treasure chest.
What were you?
How do I bring all of these things together? So it was 15 years.
How do I bring all these things together? I was thinking about my treasure chest. What things? Oh, Clark Gable? Does that have something to do with it? Alan and I might have the best connection to Clark Gable and the solve for The Thrill of the Chase than the fucking finder does. Clark Gable. Okay, you want the Clark Gable solution? Because he said he was going to invoke Clark Gable into the treasure chest, right? Okay, got it. Clark Gable fucking caught his world record trout at 9 Mile Bay in Pyramid Lake, Nevada. He also filmed his final movie there at 9 Mile Bay. So maybe that tells you it's 9 Mile Hole in Yellowstone, which is where the real treasure chest was. Perhaps. He just said he was going to use that story and put it into the treasure chest. So that means Clark Gable has to do something with the spot. Does it not? Let's listen again.
From the time that I got a peek back into our lives. And so and at the same time, I was thinking about my treasure chest. How do I bring all of these things together?
How do I bring all these things together? Well, let's go back again. Right? Let's double sure here.
Told me about when she was a kid in Fort Worth, watching the Comanche and Kiowa Indians run through their barnyard trying to catch chickens. I have two daughters that are in their 50s who don't know who Clark Gable was. So I wanted my kids, my family, my grandkids to know something about my family. Something about me and my wife and what we've done and where we've been, and kind of a peek back into our lives. And so and at the same time, I was thinking about my treasure chest. How do I bring all of these things together?
Rudy says, Alan K., by that logic, we could conclude that the chest was in Hebgen since there's a photo of the lake as well. You still have to use the poem if you want to get there confidently. Okay, Alan, or Rudy, again, you have a solve in Montana where you said the poem took you confidently, correct? Do you not see the ironic twist of here, that's going on with what you're doing?
So it was 15 years from the time that I got cancer until the time that I hid the treasure chest.
Again, it was 15 years from the time I got cancer in 1988 until the time I hid the treasure chest. That's 2003. Sorry, you can't fight me on that. It's math. 88 plus 13 or plus 15. Come on. 2003. I'll play it again.
Years. And I said, I can do that. And so
oh, shit,
I started writing my years, about me and my wife and what we've done and where we've been, and kind of a peek back into our lives. And so that's, and at the same time, I was thinking about my treasure chest. How do I bring all of these things together? So it was 15 years from the time that I got cancer until the time that I hid the treasure chest. 15 years. And
he says it twice. Ben, my Montana solve was wrong, obviously. Okay, I know that. But what I'm saying is how do you know your Yellowstone Madison River 9 Mile solve is not wrong? You were just as confident about the Montana solve. That's my point. And now Bavetta says he didn't buy the chest until on after 2006, according to Rick H. Here's how this makes sense, ladies and gentlemen. There are two chests. One he cast and hid in 2003, and another one he bought in 2006, and then hid that one in 09 or 10. Do we not see what's going on here?
The poem in my book. So it was 15 years from the time that I got cancer until the time that I hid the treasure chest. 15 years. And the poem in my book is something that I changed over and over again. When you read the poem, it looks like just simple words there. But I guarantee you, I worked on that thing. I felt like an architect drawing that poem. And the original version of the poem said,
yes, Lucky, in treasure words, because Shannon says that 9 Mile holds what she believes is Jack's solve. And how do we know Jack isn't lying to Shannon? Hoping that Shannon will eventually say something.
take the treasure chest, but leave my bones and go in peace, or something like that. But then I got well and I ruined that story. But I believe very strongly in that. I started making bells out of bronze and little jars. In the jars, I put my autobiography in the jars and seal them up tight. And I've buried 8 of those things way out in the desert and in the mountains. Nobody knows where. I couldn't even go back to them because I've hidden them so well. Who says I can't influence the future? Who says I can't take it with me? I don't believe in those things. Which is best? Laying on the ground on a treasure chest, your bones rotting in the sun, or laying in a hospital room with tubes down your throat and your nose and machines everywhere, people running out watching you all the time? Which would you rather have? That's my philosophy. But anyway, I'll admit I'm a maverick in that area. My father had pancreas cancer. They gave him 6 months to live. 18 months later, he was still fishing up in Yellowstone. And
just like you said, the poem and the hints led to Montana.
Those lakes and fast streams. But one night, about 10 o'clock at night, he said, call me on the phone. I was in Santa Fe and he was in Temple, Texas. He said, Forrest, I just want you to know that I'm getting ready to take 50 sleeping pills. And I said, Dad, I'll be there first thing in the morning. I had an airplane. He said, that's too late. And it was too late. But I respected him because he wanted to do things on his own terms. what's wrong with making your own rules about things? He could have gone in the hospital and withered away for another 3 weeks or a month. That's no way to live. And all of these thoughts manifest themselves in my treasure chest. The thrill of the chase. I keep going back to the thrill of the chase. And you can think I'm crazy if you want to, and a lot of people have said that.
You can think I'm crazy if you want to.
It's something that I believe in.
And a lot of people have said that.
That treasure chest, I've said, is in a very special place to me. And if I get another disease, on my last dying gasp, I'm going to throw myself on top of that treasure chest. And then I'm going to dare you to come find me.
And then I'm going to dare you to come find me. The promise of other discoveries? Does that look like a man who changed his mind at the very last second? Now, I get it. A lot of things changed in between 2013 and 2019. I think he's seen worse. I don't think much phases this man. I don't think we know what's going on. And I include Rudy in that. I'll include K-Pro in that. I'll include Cynthia in that. I'll include Shannon. I think they're all being lied to. If any of them are actually lying, that's a whole other story. But I don't know that. I just know the story being fed doesn't match this man.
Bella, do you have a question?
Mr. Fenn, we actually have one that was sent to us. And since you were speaking about the poem, Dale Neitzel.
Where the fuck is the Doug one? I don't know where it is in this.
The poem, of which I
gonna listen to the whole
have a
thing.
copy of said poem.
Damn Dal Nitzel's always getting me in trouble.
So, yeah, he's telling a lot of jokes here. We're all laughing. Ha ha ha! It's cute. Ah. Why does it get you in trouble to read the poem, sir? Why is that a dangerous thing? You reading the poem?
He thinks he's safe because he lives on a little island of Lummy Island out of Seattle.
Thank you, Forrest, for telling us Dale's history and where Dale lives, violating his privacy. Thank you so much for telling me where Dale lives, Forrest. Are we falling for this?
I've got his number, though. As I have gone alone in there, and with my treasures bold, I can keep my secret where, and hint of riches new and old. Begin it where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down. Not far, but too far to walk. Put in below the home of Brown. From there, it's no place for the meek. The end is ever drawing nigh. There'll be no paddle up your creek, just heavy loads and water high. If you've been wise and found a blaze, look quickly down your quest to cease. But tarry scant with marvel gaze, just take the chest and go in peace. So why is it that I must go and leave my trove for all to seek? The answers I already know. I've done it tired, and now I'm weak. So hear me all and listen good.
This man forgot his poem right when he says, so hear me all and listen good. We think he just magically forgot there. You were playing a different game than me.
I might have to read this.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Forrest. Okay.
So
sure
hear
thing,
me
buddy.
all and listen good. Your effort will be worth the cold. If you are brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold.
Did you notice how his inflection changed? Did you notice how his demeanor changed, his smile changed? He changed the way he read that poem after Hear Me All and Listen Good. He knows the character he is playing. Do you?
And I view that as a challenge.
Forrest Frenzy, whoever you are, of course, people are absolutely allowed to change their minds. You're missing the point, or you're being obtuse. The point is the confidence level in that quote that Bavetta shows us from Rudy. I want to show you the correct solve for Forrest Fenn's poem. It was found in the state of Montana, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to show you the solve that gets you to the correct spot. That is the same level of confidence Rudy is now speaking about with 9 Mile Hole. If you don't see the point, you're being obtuse, or you're in on it. It's not about making mistakes. Everyone gets to make mistakes. I made a zillion of them. I talk about my shitty solves all the time. That's not the point. Hypocrisy is the point.
There are so many things in life that are wonderful, and there are so many things that are not wonderful. I think, and this world's in trouble. I don't need to tell you that. So I think we need to. My father used to tell me, grab every banana. And he told me that 100 times. Finally.
Well, let's start with, I'll hear the solve from Forrest Fenn's own mouth. We can go with that. Then I will deduce and dissect if I think that that solve is a fake solve or a real solve. I guess it would depend on what Forrest says in that video, huh?
He and I collected arrowheads together. And we were thinking about going out to a friend's farm that was newly plowed to look for arrowheads, but it was drizzling rain. I didn't much want to go, but my father did. So we were discussing. He said, grab every banana. I said, Father, you've been telling me that for years. I said, I don't know what you mean. You know what he said to me? He said, now that you asked the question, maybe you're old enough to know. Pretty profound, huh? He said, the banana tree doesn't go by, the train doesn't go by that banana tree but one time. He said, you should reach out and grab every banana on the way back. I thought that was pretty good. And let me tell you, I've grabbed a few bananas in my time. Grabbed a few lemons too. Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the poet Robert Service?
The what?
Poet Robert Service.
No.
You'd give him a run for his money.
Well, thank you. Well, I like poetry, and I can
for some reason my
down the
brain's
street and
telling me
see
it's at like the
something,
30s
and I quote
mark,
poetry
but whatever.
to myself. I did that coming up here today with.
How long does it take before I do clues? Listen, the only clues I'm doing at this point, I had you on live with me. We went over your stuff a little bit. At this point, again, I've made it loud and clear. I think there's something else going on here. I think there could be another chase, or a continued chase, or something. And why would you want to give your solve away at this point?
It's a little. I'll read you a poem from Alice in Wonderland. How doth the little crocodile improve his shiny tail and pour the waters of the Nile on every shiny scale? How cheerfully he seems to grin, how neatly spread his claws, and welcome little fishes in with gently smiling jaws.
Are those gently smiling jaws that you're witnessing as he's telling you what he's doing? Huh?
I like that.
Oh, yeah, I bet you like that.
You may not know who Senator Al Simpson is, senator from
Shurik H. No, there's an alleged question being asked from the audience that is believed to possibly be Doug Preston in disguise, and asking the question, disguising his voice a little bit, but you can tell it's Doug Preston. That's the allegation. We're going to listen to the interview until we get to it.
Retired. He can quote the entire book.
Oh, yeah. Come on. This guy, it's so funny when people think like, oh, he forgot his own poem. Oh, this old man. Come on. He recites poetry all the time. You telling me he forgot his that he worked 15 years on? In front of an audience? Guys. Wake up and smell the alligator.
Yes, sir.
Would you want to say anything about the accumulation of that treasure and why?
Jay, your guys,
those specific things were dedicated to the chest, or that must have been a big piece of your life in some way.
Senator Al Simpson is senator.
This, I think, is the alleged
retired.
Doug Preston voice.
He can quote the entire book from Alice in Wonderland. Yes, sir.
Would you want to say anything about the accumulation of that treasure and why
Jay, you're getting
those specific things were dedicated to the chest, or that must have been a big piece of your life in some way? Or is that too personal a question?
So he's wanted to know on.
I hear Doug in that voice, but I can also hear it's not Doug in that voice. I could see how that's Doug. I'm not sure. If it's Doug, it's certainly him disguising his voice, which is what I would expect. I wouldn't expect it to sound perfectly like Doug Preston. But I don't think it sounds exactly like him, but also that is what I would be expecting. It doesn't sound
The
exactly.
accumulation of what you put in the chest.
The question that he's asking is an interesting one, though, because the accumulation of things in the chest. Remember, Doug is the one to say he's seen the inside of the chest.
Were they personal type items? How hard was it for you to put some of those items in there? How did you determine what you placed in the chest?
Thank you for asking that question, sir. I wanted that treasure chest to be part of me. I wanted, if I'm going to take it with me, I don't want it to be a bunch of abstract items. I put things in that treasure chest that are very dear to me. One of them, probably the cheapest thing in that treasure chest, is a wonderful little bracelet. Has 22 prehistoric turquoise beads in it. The beads were found by Richard Wetherill the first day that he discovered Mesa Verde and climbed down into the ruin from the canyon top.
This is what fucking shit, man. This is why I picked Colorado. This exact reason, because he misspells Richard Wetherill in the book. He does videos where he's like, "Oh, give me that bracelet back." His fucking own family says, "Give me that bracelet back." I was like, "Oh shit! All right, the bracelet's important." Oh, lo and behold, he misspells Richard Wetherill.
He picked up those 22 little turquoise beads. In 1901,
right,
when Richard Wetherill was excavating Mesa Verde, there was an Indian working for him that made a bracelet out of those 22 little turquoise beads, disc beads. They called it a row bracelet. It was made about 1902 or so. And when Richard Wetherill sold it to Fred Harvey, though,
every time he says Richard Wetherill, he now I don't know if that's on purpose. I don't know if that's on accident, but it's absolutely,
of the Harvey houses. And years later, that whole Harvey collection was given to the Herd Museum in Phoenix. But I won that bracelet in a pool game with Byron Harvey, who was a nephew of Fred Harvey. That's how I got that bracelet. So I have an association. It's the only.
And to think people got mad at me for winning a Forrest Fenn owned item over a poker game when this guy tells a whole story about how he won something in a pool game, but I get shit on.
Indian bracelet I ever had that fit me. I used to walk down the street showing off that bracelet. It's worth about $350, but it was special to me.
Have your grandkids ever tried looking for the treasure?
What's he said? Have your grandkids ever tried looking for the treasure?
No, but I'll tell you an interesting story. Some of the emails I get from people. I got one last week from a lady about your age. You must be 11.
We should Forrest Fenn pool tournament.
She said, "Mr. Fenn, if I find a treasure chest, do I have to share it with my brother?"
Very good, Alan. And ha ha ha. I said he has troubles pronouncing R's and W's, and he disguised his voice because of that on the plane. That's right. Son of a biscuit and gravy, baby. Huh? How about that? Well, people still think we're crazy. It's fine. God, he loves when he makes that audience laugh.
So I get all kinds of emails. This one lady said, my truck is not very reliable. She said, if I go in the mountains on the way to your treasure chest and my truck breaks down, will you come and pick me up and take me the rest of the way to the treasure? So I don't know.
Do you think kids will ever find the treasure?
Okay, this is going to be very subtle. And most y'all will probably hate this kind of analyzing, right? Okay, and that's fine. Crazy's better than boring. Damn right. This girl's asking a scripted question. She's not waiting her turn. She's not waiting for her part to ask this next part, but this also feels like a scripted question, and that she's, practiced it a few times. This cute little girl, she could have done this all herself. I'm not trying to take anything away. I could be very, 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 very most likely wrong.
Lady about your age, you must be 11?
9.
9? She said, Mr. Fenn, if I find a treasure chest, do I have to share it with my brother?
Oh, wait. This girl's not away for the plot.
So I get all kinds of emails. This one lady said, my truck is not very reliable. She said, if I go in the mountains on the way to your treasure chest and my truck breaks down, will you come and pick me up and take me the rest of the way to the treasure? So I don't know.
Do you think kids will ever find the treasure? Do you think kids have a shot at trying to find the treasure?
Do you think the kids will ever find the treasure?
Do I think that kids, you worry me a little.
Yeah, it's like an 80s sitcom laugh machine, because he has the room. He owns that room. He is working that room for sure. He knows how to work a room. That's a talent.
Yeah, I think kids may have an advantage. Don't expect me to explain that, but sure, their eyes are better. They're more agile. They have more energy. Why should a kid sit?
He says, "Don't expect me to explain that," and then he goes ahead and starts to explain it a little bit.
Take back seat in the treasure hunt. Is that your daughter there?
Sure is.
She's dangerous. Okay, more questions? Yes, sir.
You put a lot of people on a very bold, exciting adventure, and at the same time, you put yourself on an adventure of watching all of these people. And how are you enjoying that?
He said that you put a lot of people on a bold and exciting adventure, and yourself. And how are you enjoying watching all of this adventure around you?
Oh, tell me not in mournful numbers. Life is but an empty dream. For the soul is dead that slumbers, and things are never what they seem. I'm enjoying it. Yeah. I didn't expect it. I always figured that the treasure chest was a bomb, but I didn't know that I had a fuse until Dorothy came along, and a couple other people had started giving publicity to the book, and now it's out. No matter what happens now, it belongs to the ages, I think. And sure, there's people talk about, Mr. Fenn, is that your legacy? Well, I don't like that. I don't like the philosophy of that. I don't like the word. Once a person dies, that should be the end of it. If you want to say something kind about me, say it to me while I'm alive. Don't wait till I die. And let's don't talk about legacies. Yes, sir.
So when you had cancer and you got well and you decided to hide the treasure, do you think maybe fate, maybe you got well so you would hide the treasure?
I believe that there's a higher hand someplace. I don't know what it is, but I think that I've lived a charmed life. Here's a little kid from a small town in Texas, made D's and F's in high school. Joined the Air Force as a private, became a fighter pilot. When I was 27 years old and a fighter pilot in Germany, I went down to Supply and checked out an atomic bomb.
No.
I signed a form.
Our
I
solve was
owned
in
that atomic
Nevada.
bomb, 61 kiloton bomb.
But 9 Mile Bay was in our solve.
The bomb at Hiroshima
which
was
is in Nevada,
17,000
at Pyramid
tons. This
Lake.
was 61,000 tons. And I thought that, if I can do that from my background, then look at what other people can do from their background. I had a hard tour in Vietnam. I flew 328 combat missions in about 348 days. I was shot down twice. I took battle damage a few times. I lost some roommates. I lost 22 pounds and didn't even know it. And when I came home,
I mean, he is just getting all the classics out. I lost 22 pounds and didn't even know it.
I was tired. I was tired mentally. I was tired physically. And I wrote a story that's in my memoirs called My War for Me. If you don't do anything else, read that story. I think it's 7,500 words, but I'm very proud of that story.
So, not important. This is not worth my time.
Well, excuse me, princess.
Yeah, I had to save that for one. And then also,
oh my God, who the hell cares?
there you go. Hey, not important. What time is it?
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Woo! Oh, I didn't have water for this one. Son of a bitch. Ah.
It tells, and in my new book, Too Far to Walk, do we have a copy of that? I tell another story that's an aberration to my my War for Me story. And I'll tell you briefly about that. I was laying in the wet jungle in Laos.
The wet jungle. Physics tells him the treasure chest is wet.
I just jumped out. My wife got a telegram saying that I had been shot down and no parachutes had been seen. And so I'm laying there trying to.
No parachutes had been seen for D.B. Cooper either.
Decide what to do. I had a radio.
Couldn't help myself.
If I called the rescue people,
this is where the classics
they would
come
probably
from,
come get me and I'd go home. But it was Laos in those days, 1968, was a pretty wild country. What if the helicopter comes in to get me and it's shot down and 2 or 3 guys are killed? Now where am I?
He nearly did say too far to walk, but I think is just like that's an accident. I think that's innocent.
I haven't been rescued and 4 guys have been killed. Those things were preying on my mind. But I was.
Okay, so maybe he is. All right, so maybe fuck me, right? Okay, so maybe he's doing it on purpose. Maybe there's a reason for that.
I was 38 years old. I was a perfect human physical specimen.
How many people refer to themselves as perfect human physical specimens? I mean, I guess if you're coming out of the Air Force at 38 with the confidence and surviving what you survive, maybe you look at yourself as a perfect physical human specimen.
I had graduated from the jungle.
Here's my question. And maybe you've thought of this on your own. If he lost 22 pounds and didn't even know it, and that was the end, how is he a perfect physical human specimen? He's underweight, right? He lost 22 pounds because he's been in the damn jungle. Why the comment, I lost 22 pounds and didn't know it? I'm just asking questions.
Survival school in the Philippines. The jungle.
And what on planet Earth does that have to do with 9 Mile Hole?
Was never hot. It was never cold. Fast running water, drinkable water was everywhere. I had 2 guns. I had a knife. And under every log in the jungle is nourishing food if you're willing to eat it. And I was. I figured that I could walk to the South China Sea in a month or 6 weeks. So the question is, Am I going to take the challenge that will never again in a million years be offered to me? Or do I remember my wife and 2 kids at home? So what do? I decided it wasn't fair to my family. So I used my radio the next morning, and they came and got me, and nobody was killed taking me out. And one of the things that...
It means no worries for the rest of your days.
I'm doing this, making fun of a Disney singing voice.
It's our problem-free
tomorrow I'll get
philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Karma and some of those things. I'm not a religious person, but I'm probably the most spiritual person around. That's the way I define it.
Talking over him, sorry.
Get on my soapbox with people, but
sorry, I talked over your soapbox. My
I'd
bad.
like to know more about your new book.
my new book, Too Far to Walk.
I almost sound like Shiloh.
In my preface, I explain where I got the title of the book. And Dal Netzel, who put me on the spot a while ago, 3 days before we went to the press, I own my own little publishing company. It's called the One Horse Land and Cattle Company. 2 days or 3 days before we went to the printer, I didn't have a dust jacket. So I sent Dal Netzel an email and said, go to the Madison River in Yellowstone Park in this very special place that I'm going to tell you about.
Now, earlier in this video, he says, you follow the clues and you go right to it. Notice here, he's saying Madison River, Yellowstone Park, and he bangs on the table again.
And take a photograph of the water. Stand on the bank, put the flowers in the photograph, and send me the photograph. He did that and sent me the photograph. My designer here in Santa Fe put the shadow across it. And 2 days before we went to the printer, I was still writing this book. When a writer sends a manuscript to a publisher, 2 years later, they're thinking about going to the printer. We did this in 2 days. And it's a byproduct of having your own people working for you. And the people that designed this book and helped me are wonderful. Same people that did that book for me. Yeah. You can't thank some people. You can never thank enough.
Forrest, we've got a question from your online fan base that we've got addressed to.
Who is it?
This one's anonymous.
Okay. Well, I'm in trouble now.
Was the car you walked back to after hiding the treasure rented?
Was it rented?
Was it rented?
That's the first time I've been asked that question, but I can't tell you how many times I've thought about that. That's why I've told people that I buried that I hid the treasure chest when I was either 79 or 80 years old, because I don't want the exact date to be known, because I'm afraid somebody will go check the rental car records and how many miles did Mr. Fenn put on the truck or the car. And so I don't answer those kind of questions, but shoot that person that sent that email.
Yeah. He probably sent that email.
Back to the thrill of the chase. Outside of the
That's a
point,
guess. I don't know that.
Approximately how many hints or clues are in the book? Would you say 10 to 20, 20 to 30?
How many clues?
How many hints?
There are 9 clues in the poem, but if you read the book, there are a couple. There are a couple of good hints, and then there are a couple of aberrations that live out on the edge. Yes, ma'am.
Where are those that point out 9 Mile Hall, huh?
Say there's 9 clues in the poem. The poem has more than 9 lines. Can you share with us which are exactly the lines?
Unless we're saying page 122, 123, 9 Mile Hole, because it's on that page. That's it?
For the clues?
Which of the 24 lines are clues?
Yes.
Little girl, I already know you. I mean, you've been out looking for the treasure, and she already knows what the clues are. No, I don't want to do that. She
already knows what the clues are.
Scary too.
He knows this woman, right? Who's he talking to here? Correct, Rudy. Forrest said the hints help you with the clues. They don't give you the location of the clues. So even that 9-mile thing that we see on 122, 123, that can't be it. So again, I'd love to know what the hint is for when one water's halt and how that leads us to 9 Mile Hole. What's up, babe?
Hi.
How you doing?
Oh God, I'm good, but I gotta turn around and leave again.
That sucks.
Have I talked enough?
Baba Bowie.
I don't have a question, but I just want to mention, since you're so interested in information, that the gentleman that emailed you from Lummy Island.
Dal.
Lummy Island is on the far side of a reservation that's called the Lummy Reservation. So he has to go through the reservation every time he goes home to catch the ferry to go out to his island. Just an interesting fact I thought you might be interested in.
You know, Dal, I didn't know Dal until after I'd written my book. And he came to Santa Fe because he wanted to talk to me about the book and the poem. And I didn't know the guy, so I didn't want to meet him at my home, but I met him at the Collected Works bookstore in Santa Fe. And he introduced himself to me with a fictitious name. And he had some ulterior motives related to that. But after a few minutes,
he had some ulterior motives related. This isn't cryptic or weird at all, right? I can't believe people just like, okay, whoop, yeah, sure.
Conversation.
This is
I
normal.
That his name was Dal Neitzel, and that he had worked with my nephew, Creighton Fenn, who was a professional deep sea diver. He found the Agamemnon, Lord Nelson's flagship, and brought a cannon up off the. He has a website that's wonderful, has wonderful pictures. I don't know what the website is, but Dal Neitzel was working with my nephew when they found, I think, 79 17th century sunken Spanish galleons off of Uruguay. I mean, Dal Neitzel, his water runs deep. And he's a really neat guy too, and he runs a blog. I think he controls that whole blog. It's very interesting. I read his blog so I can learn a lot about myself.
Rudy, I get that. I get the halt with the hand this way. Halt, halt, halt. I get it. There's linking word warm. Warm is on other pages. Warm means comfortable. Remember? Fenn said that too. This is just like an opinion, which is fine. This could be right, but this isn't proof. Why is that the hint? What makes that the hint and correct? What is to stop somebody from teachers with ropes to have it be where one water's halt for the fire hole?
Your friend isn't laughing.
What's up?
Coming from the online site again, I've been asked to ask you, how many people have told you they've discovered the unintended clue in Too Far to Walk, and how many were right?
Well, I have not anybody tell me the answer to that clue.
Okay.
If you read my preface, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, I think, what they're talking about, but there are clues in my new book that can help a person. Did I answer that question? Did it have two parts?
Yes, no, that was it. Okay. That was it. Now here's a really obscure one. Is it possible to locate the treasure chest without ever leaving your computer and Google Earth?
No, it isn't. Did I really say that?
And I believe it got caught on tape. So
There's not a picture of the treasure. No, it isn't. Did I really say that?
And I believe it got caught on tape, so.
There's not a picture of the treasure chest on Google Earth.
Okay.
Was that your question?
Yeah, I think that will suffice.
Because Google Earth doesn't go down far enough.
Yes, sir.
Tell us about the children's book that you have planned.
The children's book that I have planned. Well, there's a lady contacted me. She's written several children's books, and she read both of my books, and she said, I want you to write a children's book with me. Because for some reason she thought I was a child, I guess, the way I write my books. But I said, okay, and we're thinking about that. I mean, I would like to do that. Sometimes I'm not a natural writer. I struggle when I write. I think my prose looks easy, but sometimes I said just today, sometimes when I get to the end of a sentence, trying to write the end of a sentence, I forgot what the front part of the sentence was. So, and I may be running out of words. I have 3 books.
I'm still listening.
In my computer that,
you guys keep
that I'm really proud of. I would like to finish one. The main one is a book called Closet Stories of Taos. It's about the artist and the characters, but it isn't an art book. It's a gossip book. It's about Long John Donne, that wasn't his name at all. His name was Vigil. He killed 2 people in Texas. Both of them justifiable, but the court didn't think so. They convicted him of first-degree murder and gave him life in prison. And the Sabine River down in South Texas overflowed, and they let all the prisoners out to stack sandbags on protect the house. And John Donne jumped in the river and floated on the log, and far from the reach of the Texas Rangers, he said. And it's a wonderful story about John Donne, but it's about Horse McHorse, who owned the first car dealership in Taos, and Teresita Ferguson. And there's a great story. I don't know whether I could tell this story in this mixed company, but I will. There were 2 guys down on the plaza walking around one Sunday afternoon, and they were accosted by 2 women who were hoods over their faces. They wanted these 2 men to go over to the La Fonda Hotel with them because they had a room over there. And these 2 guys didn't want to do it. I'm not going to mention their names, but in my book I do. And the 2 women turned to walk away, and one of the men lifted the hoods of these 2 women. One of them was Teresita Ferguson, and the other was George O'Keeffe. So my book is really a gossip book. It's stories about Doc Martin and the artist. Great stories about Gaspard and Fession and Sharp and Taos and Victor Higgins and some of the others.
Questions? Okay, then I will ask another from the online world.
Will you quit going back to the computer?
Okay, this will be the last one. Other than the one you've mentioned, are there any other hints in Too Far to Walk that would help solve the 9 clues?
Well, there's a major clue in the book, but I don't think it will help you find a treasure chest. I'll tell you what the clue is. In the back of my book, there's a map. And I've said that the treasure chest is hidden in the Rocky Mountains. Here's a treasure chest of the Rocky Mountains. So this, if you knew where the treasure chest is hidden, you could find it on this map. But the map stops at Canada. The Rockies keep going up there, but I said that it's in the Rocky Mountains, which would include Canada. When this book was printed, I didn't realize that that benchmark maps that made this map stopped at the Canadian border. So that's a clue, but I don't think it's not going to help you much.
But that's not the clue.
What'd she say?
She said that's not the clue.
There are no clues in this book, but there are some hints. What I tell people to do, if you're really serious about looking for the treasure, get the thrill of the chase. And
he says there's no clues in the book, but there's some hints. But then he goes on to say that, you know, in a weird roundabout way, yeah, getting the map cutting off at Canada is a clue. So there is a clue. There's clues in the poem that's in the book, stuffed in the book. So his contradictions, I think, are very important. At some point, it feels like it's a game to figure out the contradictions. And the only way to do that is to do some kind of Jack Stoof yoga pose and get rid of my confirmation bias.
And read it. And then go back and read the poem over and over and over again. And then go back and read the book again, but slowly, looking at every little abstract thing that might catch up in your brain. That might be a hint to help you with the clues. Any part of some is no better than no part of any. I don't think that'll help you much, but
If someone does find the treasure and they reveal themselves that they have found it.
if somebody finds a treasure, what?
Somebody does find the treasure and spoils your plans. You cast your bones upon the chest. Will you find a new location and do it again?
How do you answer a guy that asks a question like that? I don't think so. I mean, I've had my run. I mean, I just, you know, a lot of things you can't plan. You know, making plans is antagonistic to freedom. I used to tell a story in my Too Far to Walk book about in Santa Fe, I had a Piper Malibu Mirage. It carried lots of fuel. It had a 43-foot wingspan. And I could go out there all by myself, push the hangar doors open because I didn't want anybody to help me. Crank that airplane up, get permission.
Kids, not right at the time when this is important. Hold on. I got to rewind it for me.
I just, you know, a lot of things you can't plan. You know, making plans is antagonistic to freedom.
But the question.
And do it again?
How do you answer a guy that asks a question like that? I don't think so. I mean, I've had my run. I mean, I just, you know, a lot of things you can't plan. You know, making plans is antagonistic to freedom.
Aside from, you know, spending 15 years working on a poem for a treasure hunt, I guess that's not considered planning, is it?
I used to tell a story in my Too Far to Walk book about in Santa Fe, I had a Piper Malibu Mirage. It carried lots of fuel. It had a 43-foot wingspan. And I could go out there all by myself, push the hangar doors open because I didn't want anybody to help me. Crank that.
Lots of us search there based on that alone. Again, you were pushing a Montana solve. And Forrest said only a few people got the first couple of clues, if I may be so bold as to paraphrase him. So you just going, no, you can't be confident in 9 Mile Hole. You can be confident in 9 Mile Hole with just the poem in a book. Lots of us searched there based on that alone. You were pushing Montana when this chest was found. And lots of us, you mean lots of searchers, other searchers, not you. And yeah, I would say so. There were lots of searchers searching there. It doesn't fit the quote where Fenn says only a few people saw the first couple of clues. It's so simple, right? It's just the poem in a book. You figured it out, man. You say you're at 98%, right? Huh?
Airplane up, get permission from the tower to take off, and head north and then turn my radios off. I had no idea where I was going to land, what I was going to see. I didn't even care. I had 600 or 700 miles before I had to think about that. But I had GPS and I had maps. I'd find a little town up in Wyoming or Idaho or someplace in Montana, and look on my map, see if they had a rental car or an airport. If they did, I'd land and rent a car and go out and sit by the lake or the river. I did that. I tell a story about that in, I think it's Lander, Wyoming. The little Popo Aggie River runs through Lander. How can you not stop where the little Popo Aggie River runs through a town?
My best friend who passed away here a couple of months ago, she lived in Lander.
She lived in Lander?
Yeah.
I've been to Lander a few times. It's a typical little town. I mean, I love.
Rudy, in this video alone, he says one gal got really close. One gal got to what? What's really close? And again, by 2013, people were searching 9 Mile Hole. People were searching the Madison. One gal got close. If she knew, she'd tear up the countryside.
You have to love Lander. I mean, that's grassroots America. As a matter of fact, I have a granddaughter that's in pre-med at Texas Tech University, and I told her that I would pay for all of her college.
I like that stuff. Yeah, he does start with Wyoming.
If she would promise me that when she graduated and got her license, that she would go to a little town like Lander, set up a shingle and make house calls. And she has to do that for 2 years. She promised me that she would do that. So that's where I am with this whole thing. Yes, sir.
Forrest, did you have 9 clues before you wrote the poem, or did 9 clues appear after you wrote the poem?
They're contiguous. I knew where I wanted to hide the treasure chest, so it was easy for me to put one foot down, and then step on it to get to the next foot. That's what I did. But I changed it over, I don't know how many times, but I looked up the meaning of words. You know, we really don't know what some of our words mean. For instance, what does the word several mean? S-E-V-E-R-A-L. What does that mean?
Many.
What?
Many.
No.
No. It means two.
It means more than two, but not many more than two. Isn't that a way to define a word? More than two, but not many. So
not far, but too far.
I doubt that anybody in this room knows that. I mean, I wouldn't know it except I'm a writer, and sometimes I look things up. And there are lots of words in the English language that we can't define, and consequently we use them erroneously. How in the hell did I get on that subject?
Is there anything in the chest you would like back?
Is there anything in the chest that I want back? Yeah, I want my little bracelet back. And I'm glad you asked that question. Her name is M-A-C-I. Well, anyway, I've had about 35 men or people send me an email that says, I found your treasure. I'm looking at it. Of course, I don't believe it, but I write them back and say, well, congratulations.
But again, Morpheus, same thing. Beyond obvious. The solve is Lewis Lake, Lewis Creek, Wyoming. No, beyond obvious. Again, we got to let go of this beyond obvious stuff until we hear it from the man himself. Then I'll determine. I'm willing to let go of and even thinking it's a fake narrative. Let me watch the video first before but as it stands now, until I see that. But again, we can't say beyond obvious to solve is this, beyond obvious to solve is that. It's just, that's the circle of shit.
I said, will you sell me my bracelet back? And they say, what bracelet? And this one guy said that to me, that he had my treasure chest. And I said, well,
do tell, Brian.
Sir, did the hot
I'm
water
listening.
affect the patina on the treasure chest in him? He said, thank you, and hung up. He thought I had given him a clue, and he's going to go out and look in all the hot water up and down the Rocky Mountain.
Q. Just tell me. Let's skip it. You have obviously done it, right? You've done this. You have it. If you have it, let's just send it to me. And I'll thank you.
People, everybody has their own gig. I keep saying that, but I believe it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, Zozo, that's like what you would do. You're not Forrest. Maybe Forrest thinks the exact right thing to do is mention it. That's fair.
Treasure to your grandchildren, sir.
Do I have comparable treasures for my grandchildren?
Yes.
My family is taken care of, but I'm another maverick in that area.
Okay, so several. Just several. Didn't he define what several meant in this video right here? Several is
More than two, but not many.
more than two, but not many. Thank you. More than two, but not many. I would say there's more than 10, but many. More than 20, but many. More than 50, but many. More than 100, but many. Who are searching this area. All right, fair enough. That's a good counterpoint. Jack said on AGK that he didn't think Forrest ever talked about the spot. Jack could be lying. We just don't know. We don't know on any of his quotes if he's lying. FF said in response to someone that suggested a wrong location, did I mention that place in my book? Almost to insinuate if he did mention that place in his book, it's probably the wrong place. But again, that's him letting you assume some things too, right? He knows the game that's being played. He's going to let a lot of us assume things, even if they make logical sense to us on the surface to assume those things. But therein lies the fallacy.
The last thing I want to do is make my kids or grandkids wealthy. I was in the art business for so many years, and I saw what inherited money can do. It's the thrill of the chase. It's the thrill in doing it yourself.
Right after I said, hey, Q, send me the video, please.
Bought all my grandkids cars when they got their driver's license. I'm paying for all their education, and then they're on their own. And I don't want to, first of all, I'm really not that wealthy. I mean, I can live on the interest.
Right, and
that's the definition of a wealthy person, I guess. I mean,
sorry, Forrest. Does he didn't talk about the spot mean that he didn't write about it either? I mean, right, you have to play the semantics game. You have to. Just to get a lay of the land before you can make a decision based upon what it is he's trying to say, or at least what you think he's trying to say.
Lots of things. I have.
I mean, to some folks, I don't know. I think most of us understand he's following a script in his head on how to play the character of treasure hider to the public now. That's what he's doing. It's our job to notice the script, and then certainly when there's contradictions, much like when there's a story in the book, a book, like for instance, the dude, right? And we find out that it's a different story in all reality. Let's understand why that is. Let's understand why he keeps saying 328 missions in Vietnam when Alan, myself, Packer Jack all investigated and found out it was 305 missions. Why did that number change once he started getting into the thrill of the chase? Semantics are an important thing. Dale again warned us. The same Dale that's being pushed by Forrest here. Thanks, Forrest. That Dale puts up a big red box and says, be warned. What you think you're hearing from Forrest sometimes and most often might not be what you think it is. So that forces you to start going and extrapolating and expecting even some of his comments to mean something when in which they won't. He knows that. He's not going to change his pattern in his script. It's up to you to figure it out. Up to me to figure it out. But I think that's part of the game here. All right, you want to play the game and not just look at my poem in my book? You want to listen to me? Oh boy, you better have your expert hat on. That's what I think he's trying to do.
I have everything I want, but I don't want very much. So, but
how did you come up with the title, Too Far to Walk?
You have to read my preface. I explain it in my preface. Well, let me read it to you. I'll read the dedication. This book is dedicated to all who have pushed me against my will and made me a better person. Here's my preface.
Before he starts there. Ken, I don't know what you're saying here. Ben, probably been said before, but maybe the chop it fly alongs he counted. I'm sure there's a typo there. Just kind of let me know what you meant there. Q says he talked about the general location and he wrote about it. Jack was lying. We got to get that stuff from you, Q. There's some situational irony. No, comedic irony. I don't know what kind of irony. Some kind of irony. He admits he embellished, and the second he did that, then he allows your brain to start questioning everything, which is exactly what he wants. Because then in reality, maybe he's not even embellishing that much. Maybe the only little things he does embellish on are the precise things you're supposed to find, and there's just not many of them. But if you find them, you're gonna win. Chopper flies along in Vietnam. Ah, gotcha. Or let me reread it again. But maybe the chopper fly. Well, do you count a chopper fly along as a mission? As the same missions where he's risking his life, firing off fucking rockets and a lot of bullets. You know what I mean? I don't know on that regard, but I do know this. He made it a point to say 305 missions in not one, but two different news reporting articles where they quote him on this. And not only does he say it once, but twice in both of them. He makes it a point to say 305. My last flight number was 305. He makes a point to say that. My last mission was flight 305. He makes a point. Every flight's a mission. He said 305. Then it changed to 328. Okay, maybe that's it. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But all I know is in a game where I'm supposed to figure out what Forrest Fenn might be telling the truth and might not be telling the truth about, when I see a distinct difference there, that I'm going to pay attention to that. Listen, 328 first took me to Uncle Tom's Trail. But again, that's hijacking the poem. That's weak. Nothing in the poem told me 328. All that 328, 305 stuff ended up being D.B. Cooper stuff. And that might just be fluff or might be real. I don't know. We'll find out together. Because I don't know yet. Feels like it is. But as it pertains to the poem and the solve, no, 328 doesn't play a deal or a role. I get that. But these are hints. We are looking for those. What I felt the mission was okay, if I can't solve this poem myself, just reading the poem, then okay, it's time to use the book. If it's time to use the book, then I'm now focused on just finding the hints that help me with the poem. That was my course of action. I don't believe I ever possibly found the right ones, right? The hints that I look for, like I told you, I've told my method. The Richard Wetherill misspelling, that looked like a hint. That looked like an aberration. Not out on the edge.
I put a small rubber dinghy in the Madison River a few miles from West Yellowstone, Montana, and fished downstream to Baker's Hole. That part of the river was in the quietly forgotten western edge of Yellowstone Park. There were no roads, no trails, and no rangers to tell me that I wasn't supposed to.
What if every story is a clue along the way in history of the area? I totally would love that. That's him putting you in his shoes. If you figure out whatever you got to figure out and solve whatever you got to solve 9 times, it would be nice that he puts you on the journey and all those stories you had to read over and over and over again somehow go into your imagination while you're actually walking to the spot. You're reliving some of his stories. You're going, oh, I remember when he said this. Ooh, I remember when he said that. I remember. And these are only experiences you can have, boots on the ground at the right location.
To do that. The river distance was about 10 miles, and the best fishing was in the bends where the water turned greenish deep and beautiful. The small boat containing my camping gear was tethered to my belt, and as I leisurely walked in the quiet river, I spent 3 days there, casually casting my fly and enjoying the solitude.
Which fly? Which fly? Huh? Proof of life. they're still here.
The river experience, it cemented my connection to that special country, and I promised myself that someday I would make that trip again. That day never came for me, and my disappointment still casts a lonesome shadow across the Madison River. For me now, it's just too far to walk.
I mean, with him reading that, you are forced to a decision. He is forcing you to a decision. You either hear that quote and you are convinced it's along the Madison, or you hear that quote and you are convinced it wasn't, right? Obvious. But the obvious ramifications of that are it's a polarizing statement, and he knows it. So he knows with this statement alone, okay, there's going to be people who believe it, but you know what? Maybe they were already onto that in his head. I don't know. But he knows a certain segment won't believe it now. He has just now disqualified all of them because he knows they won't believe it because he just said it, and they'll never believe it because he said it. Every single one of those never has a chance. I mean, that's one way to interpret it. You just don't know. None of us know.
And that's where I got the title. Yes, sir.
Of course, may I suggest that you tell the audience, those of us who aren't searchers.
So this is Data, or this is Toby.
Tell the audience, those in the audience.
He did that a lot, but Toby was soft there. But it is interesting on the few planted questions that we think were planted. He always does a huh.
Audience who are not searching, why the phrase "too far to walk" is so important.
Oh, I'm part
of the
I didn't say
Illuminati. It was too far important. That part of my preface, I think, is a metaphor for my entire life. Looking back, you know, I've done some things that I'm not going to brag about, but I've also not done some things that I wish I had. As a matter of fact, in The Thrill of the Chase, I talk about writing my obituary, what do you call it? Yeah. I wish I could have lived to do the things I was attributed to. See there? She feels the same way about that. Well, I had my gallery for 17 years in Santa Fe, and I had no education. I'd been a fighter.
I wish I could have lived to do the things I was attributed to, and then he goes right into that Santa Fe gallery. Alan.
Pilot all my life. So when I opened my business, I didn't have a painting, knew nothing about business, knew nothing about art. And so I had to start from scratch. And my first two shows, I didn't sell so much as a book. And I finally told myself that I had a little bit of money left that I'd saved 20 years in the Air Force. I said, I'm going to spend this money advertising, and if that doesn't work, I'm going to...
The money he saved in the Air Force, the same money he said again, where he didn't have enough money to go to the movies or for a Dr. Pepper. I get maybe you're saving, but to not have a doctor, if you're complaining about not having a Dr. Pepper, what good is the point of saving, right? I'm going to save when I can also have a Dr. Pepper. I don't know, but that's just me. This story reeks of find the truth.
Slam the door and go do something else. And it started working for me. And I learned to play Monopoly in my art gallery. Every time I sold a painting, I took the profit and bought 2 paintings. Then I took the profit and bought 4 paintings. And over a period of time, it took me 2 years before I could finance my gallery out of accounts receivable. But I learned a lot along the way. There's so much to learn. I learned that when I needed somebody to work in my accounts receivable and accounts payable office, that's a very important job in a business like that. Everything depends on cash flow. So this lady came to see me. She wanted to work for me, and I needed somebody in accounts receivable and accounts payable. So I said, let me think about it overnight. So about 8 o'clock that night, I went to her house and knocked on her door. She let me in. I wanted to see what kind of housekeeper she was. If there's stuff laying all over the floor, she's not going to work in my accounts receivable. But I want her working as a salesman out front. Different personalities have different things. You know, I've always said that salesmen, like school teachers, have shelf lives. And it's about 6 years. Dorothy will say that's not true. If you own your own business, it's a little bit different. But I learned a lot in the art business. I learned a lot about people, and I learned a lot about business, and I learned a lot about life. You know, so many writers. I don't want to be critical, but I know so many writers that are so much better than I am. Everything is researched perfectly. Everything is correct. The commas are in the right spot, and you go right down the center line. And I told this writer the other day she should be writing Encyclopedia Britannicas. It's no fun to read. Everything's there, but it's no fun. I said, when are you going to walk out to, how do you know where the edge is if you don't go out there and look? I never wanted to go down the center line. I want to bounce off the curbs. And I think I've done that. I got caught a few times, but I think if I had my life to do, and I said in one of these books that if I had my life to do over, I'd change nearly everything. I do the same thing over and over again. You know, you read in these different magazines, they ask a question, what would you change in your life? I wouldn't change anything. Everything's been perfect. You know, I think that's such an idiot thing to say. I think I do the same thing over again. Nothing wrong with slamming a door and starting out new again. Out of the night that covers me, dark as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. And I think that's a good place to stop, don't you? Thank you.
That's good stuff. We just sat through the whole interview again. See how we do that? All right. I think that's it. I don't think we need to talk about anything else. I think we've covered everything today. What is it? It's still Is it Wednesday today? It is Wednesday. You're out tonight, huh?
Yes.
That's right. You're going to a theatrical thing.
Where I go?
All right. Goodbye.
Love you.
Love you. And well, maybe I'll stay on then a little bit. I don't know.
Well, you have the kids.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Time to go. And plus, I want to eat. I want to make food. Yeah. So maybe someone else will go on. But we know my stance about everything. Weird things happening. Always. Seems quiet right now. Usually a storm comes. When it's quiet like this. Who the fuck knows? But I think it will be. Let me see. I'll check chat just for a second. I think y'all just have a conversation. See, I always think it'd be nice to have like a chat room for the chase, like a Discord server or something. Because I think people like to do that free flow chat. It's kind of nice. Anyway, I missed 420. It's 425. I need a bowl. Y'all have fun. Hopefully when he goes on, I'll watch you. Otherwise, till next time, I guess we'll do Oak Island tomorrow because Ashley's busy tonight. So, peace out.